What's happening, people? It is Spurs Kings TV. It's Ashmatic Analysis. It is Monday, and us two are still here. No interim in charge. We are still here. Ash, you well?
Yeah, man. I'm blessed, man. As always, man. We move. But our team, man, what's going on? Bro, we're talking about relegations. It's crazy. One guy came in for 33 days. Bless his heart, man. What impact he made on Spurs' lives. High fever. That was crazy.
Did he win a game? Did he win a league game? Did he?
Yeah, I don't think he did. It's mental. But yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get into all of that and more. But guys, please make sure you do hit the like and subscribe button for our show.
Let's bring him out first because he's always here. Well, already well.
Yeah, I'm good.
Get sick of your face. You're just always here.
That's how we show love in the show, man. That's how we show love.
Yeah, I'm always here because it's every Monday. So I just gotta.
You're the only ones that'll take me in, man.
Yeah. Come.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna get a week of not talking about Spurs or thinking about Spurs, and it'll be just like, yeah, let's look forward to Arsenal game. But hey,
bro, we didn't even have a game.
That's what I mean.
Wait. How many of us predicted a win against Newcastle?
No. I'll save it for the show. I know I'm the last one to speak about it, but yeah, because I was saying back Frank before the Newcastle, and then I saw the Newcastle match. I'm like, he's gone.
Do you remember it was only me because I said I had to back him from a month ago.
I bet to win.
No, you said loss.
I said a win.
Did you say lost?
No, I wanted to say loss. I wanted to.
Who said it? Was it Benji? Benji said 3-1 loss.
Only one person that predicted a loss.
That was Benji. Big up Benji, man, because he got that spot on.
Truthfully, I actually thought that I wouldn't have been surprised if Frank hadn't have come out at halftime. I thought the club would have sacked him at halftime.
It was that bad.
And after the match, because I was watching the YouTube, I can't remember the name of it, but they do the live stream of the interview.
Yeah.
It took a while for him to come out. I actually thought that was it. He was going to get sacked after the match and not come out. It was just that match was showing the players just went, fuck it. I can't be bothered. And you can tell they just went complete individualism. But yeah, get the other guests on. Let's get going.
Let's bring on someone who's been on here before. This thing's acting real slow, but Alan, you well?
How you doing? You all right?
All good. It's been
a lot has changed since about a month ago when I was on. A lot. I think your intro was longer than Heideken's job at Spurs.
Yeah, I've just read that he's left.
I've got to change the intro now. Why is Spurs doing this to me? Because Frank's still on there.
He's gone, but that was a cert. Yeah.
No, thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem at all. Next guest is his partner was here last week, but Danny, when he finally gets ready, you good?
All cool, mate. Yourself? Same Spurs, different day. Apart from that,
well, what can you say?
What has changed? Nothing, except we look worse.
And then we got a debutant tonight. And that's why I always save the debutants last, save the best till last. That's what I always tell them. Sorry, boys, you've been here before. So you don't get an intro like this unless you first come on.
I got that last month.
Yeah. But a big up to Sarah. You well?
Evening. Yeah, I'm good. I'm feeling better now. We've got someone at the helm of the Spurs situation. So it was better than it was a few days ago, that's for sure.
Ooh, good. Alan. I'm actually going to start with you.
Okay.
It's been a long week, but let's talk about Thomas Frank. We have to talk about Thomas Frank.
Do we have to? He's gone now. Let's just forget about him.
We have to. Are you happy that he's gone? But are you a bit surprised they've done it now, or are you a bit like they needed to do it now before the NLD?
They needed to do that about a month ago, maybe two. They should have got rid of him a long time ago. it was we kept persevering with him because we kept having these good halves here and there. So we thought there was like little green shoots coming through, and so we wanted to back someone. We were fed up of sacking managers year on, year out. So fans are just sick of doing that every year. But now it's like he was heading so fast to relegation that we had to do something. We had to change something. There's no way we can keep it the way it was. We just couldn't. And so, no, I'm not shocked that he was sacked. I think they did it at the right time as well, because 12 days to get someone in and prepare for a big game against Arsenal as well. Because the last time we played them, we were absolutely pathetic. So I was not looking forward to playing them again under Thomas Frank, definitely. So I think they did the right thing, and I think they should have done it sooner than they did, to be honest.
Sarah, bring you in on it as well. Like Thomas Frank, timing-wise, glad he's gone, or kind of should have given him to the end of the season like most people thought the board was going to? Well, especially what Lange, from what we're hearing, Lange and Paratici. Lange and what's his name?
Vinay.
Yeah.
You've forgotten their names already.
I
They're
hate
still here,
Vinay.
They're still here, We haven't got rid of them yet.
Not yet.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, look, he stayed too long, but that's the problem with the board, right? They back a manager, but then they don't put their money where their mouth is, and then you end up doing the whole cycle all over again. So, look, if you were going to keep him by mid-January, then you probably just should have stuck by your guns and just backed him. But I think by that point, the desperation from the players themselves just started showing on the pitch, and no one was really on board with it. So in hindsight, they probably let it drag on too long, and they probably should have just done it before the window closed. But at least now they have an excuse, because the window of opportunity is closed. We can't buy any more players. So it is what it is for the rest of the season.
Danny, timing wise, Frank, where were you? Because do you know what? First of all, I'm going to throw this out there. You're a big old get rid of Ange. Anyone would do but Ange. We've got Thomas Frank in.
There we go. Can't get everything right, can you? I mean, for me,
I'm starting on that foot on purpose.
Yeah, you can't. I put mines up to that one. I fucked up. I got that one totally wrong, mate. Thomas Frank was probably my third choice on a realistic choice of managers.
Okay.
I thought he'd be able to adapt better than he has done. I thought he'd be able to play with the cards he's got better than he has done. When I mean adapt to your situation, but then at least adapt to the tactics you have got. I don't even think he knew what tactics he had at Spurs. I don't think anyone did. And you did think, could it actually be any worse than Ange? Is it even possibly? This fella could have got us relegated. But Ange had to go at the end of the day, 17th place, whether he won a cup or not. Baked potato, mate. See you later. The fella had to go. Frank, we should have either kept him till the end of the season, which I don't think we should have. I think we've done the right thing getting rid of him. Personally, I think he should have gone start of January, and we should have gone, right, whoever we're getting in for the meantime, get him in for the meantime, but then go and use your brains for once as football owners and go and buy about, or at least buy one and loan 3 or 2 or 3 players that are fit for the club. Don't worry about the manager. Just get players in that the next manager is going to sit there and say, yep, I will use him. Like Gallagher, for instance. That's a good buy. Why? Because the next manager is going to use him no matter what. Anyway, he walks into our team, even when we've got a fully fit team. No, what happened there, and I said it just, about a week into the window, I said, you watch, what they'll probably do here is probably go and buy and loan a player and then leave it until February. And if he loses a game in February, they'll sack him, and that will be their excuse on why they didn't have to spend no money in January. Lo and behold, that's the one I hate to be right on. I'd rather been wrong on that one and right with it, Frank one. But no, Frank had to go. I mean, come on. If we're going to be honest with it, he's a Brentford manager, and that's that. And it shows. From what the players said and everything, he's got about as much charisma as a wet paper bag, and he just didn't get him going for it. If you can't get him turned on for an Arsenal game, his hopes were few and far between. The man had to go. Simple as that. He had to.
Oren, before I get to the main man himself, because I've noticed I haven't started with Ash today. I've started with all the guests. So you're next.
Yeah.
Timing wise, Frank, where were you? Where were you at the time? You know, you briefly said the players weren't playing for him after Newcastle.
Yeah, like I think that was a sign. That was literally a sign. I think if Spurs had maybe scraped and got a win, he would have still been charged. But those players turned up and they went, no, nah, not tonight. can't be bothered, you know. And I try to think of like ways of saying, you know, basically those players had to play for an hour with a man down against United on the Saturday. Tuesday they couldn't get it up, as in energy wise. But yeah, but yeah, it was just from the word. I think personally, and maybe I'm going off the question a little bit, but I don't think I did a stream when they appointed Frank, and I went, "Yep," but nah, Frank never had a chance. I personally believe that. I think the players still wanted Angie. They wanted season 3. They wanted a guy who was boisterous and loud and come on and give prep talks and did spiritual things and all. And then Frank comes in and he's more away from that. So I think from the moment he walked in, that was it. And like he tried to change his tactics and try to do this, try to do that. And the players are just looking at him like, what have you won? We've all won trophies. You haven't won anything. And I do think that selling Brendan Johnson as well, I noticed that it might have been just myself, but after Brendan Johnson was sold, I think a lot of those players just went, nah, fuck you. Because Brendan Johnson was part of that squad that won something historically, and the way Frank treated him. And I think as well that I listened to Alistair Goal, and he said like apparently what Frank would do he would only talk to like Romero and Van de Ven and the main players, but he would dismiss like to Brendan Johnson. So you have a group of players who were there and a group of players who felt left out. And once those leaders start to turn against him, that was it. You know, he didn't have what Angie had. He had the likes of Romero, Son, and all who stood for him. Frank didn't have anyone. And as soon as that went, that was it. So yeah, Spurs sacked him at the right time. They had to. They can't risk, oh, we might finish this, but because he's not going to win the Champions League. I mean, well.
So Ash.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Syndrome. Did Spurs get caught out? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, come like it. Like it's like the Potter thing, right? People were questioning the whole time, can you make the step up? And we've looked at previous managers that have made the step up from Brentford. And one that comes to mind is the one that went to Aston Villa and Dean Smith. Now, he was a Brentford manager, did very well, got them promoted. Not promoted, did like really well in the championship, etc.
Got to the playoffs, yeah.
Got to the playoffs, and then he thought he was bigger than he was, got the move. And then the rest is history, you know. He went to Rangers and flopped as well, not just Villa. Two clubs he went and flopped. So I think he's come along and he's looked at maybe what Ange has done and his shortcomings and thought, I know what we're going to do is adapt. You know, Ange didn't want to adapt, but I'm definitely going to adapt. But it was a detriment to him where he never actually had a mainstay against teams. Whereas a Tottenham fan or as a club, we expect a certain standard. When we're going against the Brightons, your Bournemouth, no disrespect to Fulham, your Crystal Palaces, we need to have our own identity. We need to have our own mark and impose ourselves like in the game. We need to be dominant around the pitch, put our foot on the ball, bring it to the team. And I felt like we lacked ideas. And I was always saying with Frank, for me, you can't live on the sides because it just shows, for me, like it shows that you're not playing brave enough. You're actually playing within yourself, you're playing within the team, and it lacks that kind of risk. And that just sums up, for me, Thomas Frank in a nutshell. He is very risk averse. And we could talk about, 4-3-3, 3-5-2, because he did it all. He did the 3-4-3. He did it. Against Arsenal, we went 3-4-3, but it looked more like a 5-3-2, which is interesting because we're going to talk about Igor in a second. But that was the formation where we looked ultra negative. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes forget the tactics. It's about how you show up on the pitch. Can you install that belief? Can you get that message across to those players to kind of galvanize them, to get them up for the fight? He clearly couldn't. Do you know what I'm saying? So I felt like he had to go a long time ago. And I always look at the numbers. I was looking at the stats and I was like, boy, it is not pretty reading. And the argument always was on this show, is it the manager or is it the players? And it's interesting now that we got rid of Frank. Are they going to play for this new manager? Are we going to see a manager bounce? And then are we going to revert back to type? That's the type of question I'm looking at right now.
So the question actually for everybody is, though, just quickly on that. So Frank obviously was not the right guy. Why did these tactics work in Europe, but they couldn't work in the Premier League? What was the difference between the two? Because the Champions League, as everyone told us, the Champions League is a big competition.
Champions League's more open. It's slower. Champions League is not as fast, not as aggressive as the Premier League, yeah? More skill in it, no two ways about it. Premier League ain't the most skillful league out there, no. But it's the fastest overall. It's the most aggressive. It's just got everything in it. When it came to that the players had time to think and do things with the ball, whatever, they looked a lot more on the game. I mean, that game against Dortmund, we absolutely had them. Even though they had a man sent off, we was all over them before it started. Most of the other European games we played, except, what was it, Monaco, who should have beat us about 7-1, 8-1. We've had that bit of luck there. It's more on their wavelength as such, especially someone like Simmons. You can tell he's only just starting to get his foot into the league. He ain't used to getting pushed about like he does. He ain't used to having to walk down the road and look over his shoulder. He's used to it being quite open as such. And I think that's definitely why we look better in Europe with a few of those players there. Other thing is, I think it's mentality with one or two players in the aspect of they don't mind playing it. They like playing in the Champions League, whereas one of them at least thinks he's too good to play in certain games in the Premier League.
Alan?
Yeah, I agree with what Dan's saying. And I just want to add, apart from Dortmund, I think the caliber of team was not as good as other Champions League teams. I think we played teams that most teams were beaten in the Champions League, to be honest. So, you know, I think Frankfurt are not too bad. I think Dortmund were the best side that we played. Obviously, PSG was the best side we played and we lost it. But I think we played all right against them. Dan's right that we did have more space. Simmons can play a bit more attacking football because, like I said, the caliber of team was not as strong as some of the Premier League sides. So Frank went a bit more attacking than he would if he was in the Prem. As soon as he gets back in the Prem, played a lot more defensively, and players like Simmons can't benefit from that. So that's why Simmons was playing better in Europe, in my opinion. But I think with Frank's defensive mentality and don't lose mentality rather than go to win really affected all of our attacking players, and it probably confused them to say, well, what is the point of me if I can't do my job? If that makes sense. But to go back on your question, I think we'll find out more about these players when we start playing even better Champions League teams. Do we still play at that level if we're playing the likes of, like, I say, Atletico Madrid, who we could have in the next round? So we'll have to see. But yeah, I think some of the games we should have won, and we should have won easily because of the caliber of the team.
So where do you sit on the whole Champions League versus Premier League?
I don't think necessarily it was anything tactically. I think the players had checked out. I think that the players weren't playing for the manager in the Prem, and I think it was possibly easier, arguably, to get over the line in Europe. But I don't know. I just have this feeling that it's kind of more than that. I think the biggest tell that we had was when Frank was so surprised at how the players won the game against Dortmund. And I think that he didn't expect them to get up for the game like they actually did. And obviously before then was the West Ham game that they threw away. So as much as I think he was quite limited towards the end of the Champions League, like we saw Spence on the wing and there were some really weird tactical changes that he was forced to make, as opposed to like maybe a choice tactically that he had so many players to choose from, you know, by the end of January, that we had no players left. So it was almost like he was backed into a corner and he had to make those changes. But I don't think necessarily it was a tactical thing. I think a lot of it was mindset. I think a lot of the time they went into the Champions League games a lot more up for it. And I also think that Romero plays a big role in that. I think by the time it came early January, at least, he was the one already coming out and throwing Frank essentially and the board under the bus. So I don't know, for me, if it was necessarily tactical, I think it was just maybe easier to get by on some of the Champions League games. But look, I mean, we haven't won games at home pretty much the whole season, and then we're unbeaten in Champions League. So this is not a one-off. This was a habit. This was like a consistent thing. And that in and of itself, I think, just says so much more than just tactics. For me personally, I think it was more than tactics. And look, that came to be because he got sacked. So
It was the same last season with Ange, though. I mean, no
Yeah.
one can sit there and tell me what they wanted to play for Ange, and then all of a sudden, they probably wanted Ange more than Frank after they met him. I can go with that one. But last season was no different to this season, basically. In the league, they was absolutely useless, did not turn up in games that they should turn up. All of a sudden, when it comes to the Europa Cup, okay, it was easier to win than the League Cup, but they seemed to turn up for their games. And towards the end, they even told Ange, this is how we're going to play football. They even had to tell their manager how to play football. So is this now showing that this has been going on for 2 seasons now? When you look at our point caliber and everything, and it's around about 16th in the league, if I remember right, 15th, 16th over the past 2-3 years. Isn't this showing that there's definitely a mentality problem with the players there? Because there's still quite a few of the players
that's
there.
basically what I was trying to get at, bro, because
I know
the narrative is, let me get into it now. Let's get into it. The narrative is that Johan Lang and Vinay are the problem. However, Paratici was the one that bought Romero, right? And I feel like from the fan base, not everyone is against Romero, but there's a large part of the fan base that is against Romero, and they're saying it's his mentality that's carried through from the Ange era into this era. And remember, Romero was there before Ange as well. And so is he a problem? Spence, also from Paratici. Think about it. People are saying that he's got attitude problems. He's a bit of a problem. He's a bit of a diva. He's again from Paratici's era. Do you know what I mean?
Even though he won a Paratici signing.
So no, well, Conte said it was a club signing, but he was the club.
So yeah, but it wasn't. Yes, but it wasn't Paratici, because Paratici wasn't. He was a club signing, but he was more to do with the youth that's up at the time, because it all came out. It was a Daniel Levy signing.
So Daniel Levy was the one signing the players then.
Signed Spence, yes.
Yeah, you're right.
No, hang on. No.
Yeah,
Hang on a second.
He did.
Okay, no, I'm not disputing that.
But
But then Daniel Levy signed all the other players as well.
No, but Paratici and
Who
Conte
signs
did
the
not
pen?
want Spence.
Who signs the pen though? Who signs them? Who won us that cup last season?
What cup? The Europa League. Well, Andrew get the credit for it.
Well, shouldn't Levy get some credit for keeping hold
he
of
does
the
get,
manager?
yeah, he does get credit for it.
Yeah, so you can't just say Levy had something to do with one player and not another player.
No, but Ash said it was Paratici, but Conte and all them that all came out and said it was a club signing and it had nothing to do with Paratici. I'm just quoting what they said.
No,
I don't know, but like I said,
I'm not sitting there saying Spence was a bad signing. I'm not here saying Spence is a bad signing. Spence is
I'm asking the question.
A good signing. The question
I'm asking the
Paratici,
question because the question I was trying to phrase was: is it a mentality thing? And everyone's blaming Johan Lang for being useless, but isn't it like the previous DOF or the previous chairman that was signing the players, and aren't those the players that the ones that people want out? Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, I think it's like when I'm watching the games, I personally think that the likes of Romero and Spence, yes, to be called divas, but they do have a winning mentality. And if anyone watched the Newcastle game, if any of you can remember it, in the second half especially, there was 2 moments that done by 2 players, which I think sums up the whole kind of last 3 seasons. So there was a moment where Sarr has the ball. He has Till and Spence out wide. Now, if he passed the ball to either one of them, he creates an overlap. He checks in and takes a shot, goes over the bar, holds his hands up. Spence throws his hands up. What's the point of me running all the way to support you if you're just going to do that? Till had a chance to slip in Solanke twice. Decides to take a shot. Got in the way of Xavi. So when I've watched matches, I've seen like another thing is when the ball is passed back to Vicario and he boots it out and he goes out of touch and Spence just throws his hands up. I seriously think that you have I know this is going to sound weird, but Paul Merson said it perfectly. He said Spurs have some very good players and some bang average players. And when you're trying to mix those two together, the bang average players have to step up because otherwise it will drag the good players down. So I think that when it comes to mentality, I think when it comes to European games, all the players can rise up. But when it comes to Premiership, it's, I can't be bothered. So it goes through the whole team. It's, I can't be bothered doing this or I'm going to do it. And when I'm watching the Spurs team, and I think it doesn't matter if it's Frank, Angie, Conte, because this has happened over again. when those players don't want to play together, they're not running for each other. And I've said this all season: pass and move, pass and move. And if there's a manager bounce that you'll see the triangles, you'll see them running for each other, you see the passing. So then the question is, why couldn't they do that under Frank? Why couldn't they do that under Andy? So I think in a way it's, you have some players who want to be the very top and some players who are like, nah, like Basuma, he doesn't give a damn. You know what I mean?
Same as Romero, probably the most overrated player we've had at the club for a very long time.
He is, but the thing is, he's a winner, and I know he commits. I know he gets red cards and stuff, and I've been one for Romero to say he's a liability, and yes, he is. But I do think that when he makes those mistakes or he gets all charged up, it's because the team are behind and he's trying to do something all on his own.
I agree.
Like, you know,
I think
so
the problem with Romero, the problem with him with me is on his day, he is good as any defender out there. It's just he has lack of days. He only has a day when he can be bothered. Yeah, he turns up for a massive cup game. And then he disappears in games like Arsenal and everything else, just like others do. And then the problem is with Romero is you'll get a 10 and a 10. And then you'll get a 1, a 2, a 4, a 6, an 8, a 10, a 1, a 2. He is only consistent when he wants to be consistent. That is why no one will ever get it in my head that that man is a world-class player. And if we've got this many good players at Spurs, good players to an extent, if they're that good, can carry a team, basically, yeah, you need the whole team to work. No two ways about it. Harry Kane and Son basically carried us for how many years? And okay, we had some good players in them times as well, but even when we had crap teams, they still carried us to an extent. We have not got players in that team. You say winning mentality, I'll go with that to an extent. Romero, winning mentality, well, look at who he's been with every time he's won something. He's been with probably one of the best players and other best players around as such. On his day, yeah, but I don't think we have a team that the majority has got the right mentality or even quality to carry that team. Maybe in a game, if they're lucky. I mean, look at Romero.
Should Romero be captain on that basis then? Should Romero still be captain?
No, he shouldn't. Now, Romero's got a lot about him that I like in a captain. You know, like an old school John Terry, a Tony Adams, a Gatasso, someone like that, yeah? A Roy Keane, a Patrick Vieira. But he hasn't got the mentality for it when it comes down to it at the end of the day. You can't just be your captain and then also claim you're this world-class player and everything else and then turn up when it suits you. The only thing that's covered him over the past 2 months, basically, he's been absolutely shocking in defence, but he scored some goals and covered us. So that takes the pressure off of him. Yes, our captain, brilliant, got us out of it because he scored a goal. Yeah, then look how many goals he was a big part of them as well that we conceded. He's one player for me that's got to go, and I think he's very overrated by a lot of players.
The question would be, though,
by a lot of fans, sorry.
Everyone's talking about his mentality. Who should be captain then? Because
Van
Romero is inconsistent. Van de Ven's been inconsistent for the last month or so, but again, no one's going to highlight that.
Yeah, he's been more consistent over the whole season than Romero.
The thing is with Romero, with a captain,
Paulinho has been our only other most consistent player than Van de Ven.
Who can't get into the starting lineup like half the time.
Ask Frank, not me. But every time he does,
This is the question. Everyone's moaning about Romero, but we're talking about other players that haven't stepped up this season.
Paulinho was injured for a couple of games.
Yeah. The thing is, I'm not saying like the whole team hasn't been consistent, and I think it is a mentality issue and stuff. But I've always said that Romero shouldn't be captain. I've always said Van de Ven should be captain, and it's surely the point that when Romero makes a hard challenge, you just go wait. Like, you know what I mean? If you saw a team lineup of Romero in it, and then you were at work or something, and you get a notification that a Spurs player's been sent off, you would know exactly who that is. You wouldn't even have to check. And I think that's his issue. I think he's got the whole referee against him, and he's earned it. And I mean, I'm not going to defend him. He makes silly decisions. And I think Mickey Van de Ven, yes, he has been inconsistent, but the one thing, he always finishes the matches, and he's more level-headed. And I think even him and Romero now are starting to have maybe a slight conflict because they're not as buddy. Like, they're starting to wear buddies and like, but I think he's looking at him and going, you keep letting this team down. You keep putting me under pressure by your... Do
you think then that Frank didn't pick Van de Ven as captain because he was in 2 injury records under Ange?
He was vice captain, no?
Van de Ven? Yeah, I think he picked Romero because he thought Romero was a World Cup winner. He'll discipline him. He made the same mistake Ange made. He made the same mistake Ange made by making Romero important.
Mud sticks, isn't it? With what you said, I agree. Mud sticks, doesn't it? He's also I feel he does get some decisions against him, like Roy Keane used to, as such, because of his name. There's certain ones that he'll get a yellow or a red for that someone else might get a slap in the face and told to behave for, basically. But that's the problem with life. Mud sticks, and he's only got himself to blame for that. I agree with what you're saying, 100%.
I think it was possibly contractual that Romero's captain. I think it might have been part of his renewal, part of the agreement. He was made promises. And unfortunately, I mean, we don't know that, and we're never going to know that. But potentially, when you do that, you make a player bigger than the club, right? And that's essentially what's happened because no one's been able to overthrow him, you know? So it's sort of manifested itself in a way because he's allowed to do what he wants and gets away with it. And he's still going to be captain. He's still going to be captain.
Van der Ven came out and he said he looks at Romero as a brother and he learned a lot from him, saying that if he wasn't around, he wouldn't be as aggressive, as physical, those type of traits where he's a bit on the front foot. And a lot of people blame Romero because of his style of defending, but because of this style of defending and his aggression, he kind of gets labeled as this kind of bad boy or this terrible defender, etc. And it kind of follows him no matter where he goes. And there's a media perception and even the ref kind of target him where if they see him do a challenge, we've seen like across the league, I think in the last Premier League weekend, there was some horrific challenges, but they weren't getting booked for it. Foden would be one of them. Foden clapping at the back of someone's foot. He doesn't even get a single booking. If that was Romero doing that same challenge, he would have been off. So it's that kind of reputation that has kind of followed him. And it's just the style of defender he is. It's not even really the fact that, you know, he's a bad defender and he does this. It could be a case of that where they are like looking at him and saying, look, he's doing it on purpose, etc., etc. And
it's
also
his attitude as well. It's his attitude, isn't it?
But there's certain times he's gone up to the referee, but he is the captain. He's allowed to go up to the referee. And I mentioned this last week. And the referees are like, go away. But no, wait. I'm the captain. I'm meant to come up to you and dispute this challenge. Do you know what I mean? And so I think it's that kind of air. And as you guys were saying before, he's a World Cup winner, not just that, the Copa de America winner as well. So by his peers, by that standard, he is looked at as one of the top leaders because he has won stuff. He's got the right mentality to know how to get through finals, etc. So, you know, maybe that's what it is. But who knows, man? I don't know. Like when it comes to captains, I think that Igor will keep him as a captain. I don't think he will. It'll be very interesting if he did take the armband off him, because then that would be like a new power dynamic, a power struggle. But I don't think it will happen. Like Sarah's saying, I think it's contractual, and that's the reason why they're not going to move the armband off of him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think we'll know then if that happens that he's like 100% going in the summer, because that's the speculation, right? And I just can't see him sticking around if he's not going to be the captain. So I think that'll be very revealing if he does get it taken off him. But he's out for the next 3 games anyway, so it's kind of how many games you got? How many games you got left? 8 games. And then he's got 2 yellows, and he's going to be off for the rest of the season anyway. He's already at the World Cup. He's already in Mexico. You know.
He didn't want to be here anyway. He didn't want to be here anyway.
Yeah. He probably will.
He signed his contract because of money, because no one actually came in and was willing to pay the price for him. It made it quite clear last season that he did not want to be here. No one was willing to come and pay that money for Romero, this world-class defender. No one was willing to pay up for him. So there's definitely issues there somewhere, whether it's mentality, capability, whatever.
No, that's because Atletico thought they could get him on the cheap though. If he
either way, if he was that good, someone would have had him. They didn't. No one came in and put in a solid bid for him apart from Madrid looking interested. If he was that good, someone would have put the bid in. No one has ever put in a bid for him, yeah? So he got an offer, and, well, if you ain't going nowhere, then why pay the money?
The same could be said about Van der Ven. People want him. No one's put bidding for him either.
No, they've both had offers.
End of the season.
No, that's what I'm saying. But he's saying that he didn't have no offers. But Van der Ven's in the same situation. He ain't had no offers. Well, it is, we don't know what's been offered to both these players. There's been queries about both players, but both players have not left. So
but there's more chance. I think what Don is trying to say is that there's more chance that teams will come in for Van der Ven than Romero, because Romero is a liability when it comes sending off, whereas Van de Ven isn't. And Van de Ven is stronger, bigger, faster. And if it wasn't, I know Van de Ven.
Are we saying Van de Ven's a better defender than Romero?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, but Van de Ven comes with his injuries. This is the first time he's played this amount of games and not been injured.
But there you go.
Maybe Angie's tactics had something to do with that.
No, but Van de Ven was getting injured before Tottenham.
Yes, but what he's done.
People can't even say that.
Yes, you're right.
He's now.
One.
Yes, you're right. He does get injury, but the thing is, the reason why Van de Ven hasn't got injury is because after what happened was when he came back last season and he played a game and then he went away again. So basically, he went and got specialist doctors. So now they're actually doing extra routines.
Yeah, because they've actually changed the way he's run.
Yeah, everything.
If he runs the way he does, he won't last long.
And Van de Ven's way of running now, he's not full sprint from the start. He'll build up into it, and he's using his aggression and his timing a little bit better. So again, it all boils down to, but even at that, a club would rather spend the money on a player who is out because he's injured, not a player who's suspended. If that makes sense. And who can carry on getting suspended.
But you look at consistency as well. Romero ain't consistent. Romero has got no consistency at all. Van de Ven has. Sorry, go on.
No, they've both had injuries. Romero hurt his toe, right? And last year, they were both out last year. That's why we ended up in this situation. We have Danso and Dragusin rather than Gray and Davis. Like, it's just an ongoing cycle. No one can stay fit. And that's just the squad at large, right? We just don't have enough squad rotation. But on your point before, I think they're both very solid defenders. I think the difference being is that Romero is a player in his prime, right? He's 27 years old. Mickey Van de Ven has a higher ceiling. He's 24. He's got more years ahead of him, and he will be a better player than Romero. And I think any club in Europe probably would take them, in all honesty. I think we just pay higher wages, because we're known for not paying high wages. But at the end of the day, compared to Europe, like, that's just the way it is, and they're both locked into the contract. So Mickey hasn't renewed yet anyway. He could still go this summer.
Last bit on this, do you not think we can replace Romero? As in, like, would you trust a club to replace Romero?
We've got Vuskovic if he wants to come back, but we heard today he's going to Bayern, or they had an offer.
Honestly, put these two next to each other for 38 games in the season. Let's just put it on a paper. Put Danso, Romero there, and they play 38 games over the season. Do it on a point structure. By how they score in that game is the points they got at the end of the season. So if they have a 2, a 10, whatever. Do you see where I'm coming from? Right. I bet you by the end of the season, Danzo's had a better season than Romero overall. Why? Because you'll see more consistent sevens out of him. You'll see more consistent. I'll give you the reason why. Because when you add that all up by the end of the season, I bet you Danso has had more consistency in his game, and you've seen more 6-7, 7-7 with the odd 6 and the odd 8. Whereas Romero, you'll see a 10, a 10, a 1, a 1, a 2, a 4, a 10. End of the season, I'd put money on it. Danso would have had a better season point structure.
Depends who the manager is.
He's more consistent.
I think when it comes
you
to
can say that with anyone, Marlon.
Yeah, but I think when it comes to Romero, Romero is very much, he has to be on board with what the manager wants. And that's why we see, like, every time Spurs are inconsistent, so is Romero. It just seems to go hand in hand.
Yeah, because we're putting square pegs in round holes, aren't we?
And that's the problem. And he's frustrated. He plays with his heart on his sleeve. You can blatantly see it. Like, I get Romero's who he is, but if Spurs were consistent, I think he'd be more consistent.
And if he was a world-class player, and
I've never said he was a world-class player.
A lot of people do say. That's why I said if he was a world-class player. And he's never been consistent since he's been at Spurs.
But then Spurs hasn't been consistent.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. We can argue to say Spurs.
I'm not going against anything.
Either.
Yeah, go on, Alan.
If you put Romero in a consistent side, maybe he will be consistent as well. So you would never know that because we haven't been consistent for a few years now. So Argentina are consistent, and he's really good for them. So that gives you a little bit of insight. But yeah, I think if you put him in a Tottenham side that finished in the top 6, top 4, I think he'll be a lot better player, something to play for. I think give him some motivation. I don't think he's had a lot of motivation this year to play. I think he's gone off the rails a lot. He shouldn't have because he's captain, but I think he's become this player where he's very, very frustrated now because he wants to win games every week. And the reason why he's doing all these last-ditch tackles and strong tackles is because there's gaping holes in our fucking team. So that's causing yellow cards as well. And plus his name's Romero, so that doesn't help either.
So I was just showing his average SOFA score I know we don't judge it by numbers or whatever, but obviously this is independent, and they go off like what the player's done, tackles, headers, etc., blah blah blah. And 23-24 season, he had 7.245 as the average scoring, so it's not bad. And again, 7.7, not bad again. And then this season, 7.11 so far. You can see 8.2, 8.5. Those games there, 7.8. He's had great seasons, but obviously the last two games, obviously got sent off for Man United. Man City wasn't great. But overall, you can see his SOFA rating, his average SOFA score rating has been pretty decent. But what, like you guys were saying, if he had a consistent midfield in front of him, or like a nice pair in front of him where he could play consistently, then you might see a better Romero, in my opinion. But look, it's one of those ones. No one's right, no one's wrong. It's just all opinion. Do you know what I mean? I just thought I'll bring some numbers to it, but you know,
I think a lot of those, for me, a lot of those numbers are skewed just because he scored in those games where he got really. And I think, I think obviously that was partly tactical, and like for whatever reason we conceded goals, which he was part of, and then he went to go and score. Also, he was part of because he broke the tactic. And also, wasn't he taken off? Which game was he taken off? The City, was it City? He got taken off. So he had a good rating for that. But then we'd already conceded to. So some of those stats, I'm like, I'm not quite sure. And also going to the stadium and watching him, he's so frustrating to watch in real life. I can't tell you. Like sometimes his ego, I think he is a world-class player, but I think with that comes an ego. And sometimes his ego is bigger than the badge. Like he just thinks he's better than he actually is, and he's part of the problem, right? Like obviously if everything was more stable and the club was more stable, maybe the players would be as well. But he wanted the captaincy, he's accepted it, so you're part of the problem now, you know. And like coming out and talking against the club, all of that, it's all part and parcel.
Kulu did the same thing. Kulu came out and he spoke against the board as well. So then is he part of the problem as well?
When did he speak out, Kulu?
Kulu spoke out on the board. Yeah, just before his knee went. Exactly, just before his knee went.
Conveniently. Just before who the hell's Kulu?
See, instant karma. Spurs will always get you the instant karma. I mean, it's like Romero got sent off after he spoke out, right? It's like the instant karma.
You talk about consistency as well, and consistency with a team, and then the player will look better. No, sorry, I'll go with that to an extent. Yeah, obviously, if the whole team's playing better, everyone's going to be playing better. But if you're a good, solid player, even if you're a crap team, you can still look consistently good. And why does that happen? Because that happens in smaller clubs where someone plays consistently for a season or two and gets bought for 50, 60 million, 70 million even, or if not more at times, yeah? Why? Because they're a good player and they play consistently good. Maybe not playing to their top capabilities because they haven't got the people around them to do it, but where they've got the mentality and the capability to do it, even at the poorer club, they should stand out even better if they're that good. He doesn't. And that is where, for me, he will never be a world-class player. On his day, as good as anyone.
A prime example of that, Dan, is Harry Kane, isn't it? When we finished 8th that season, he scored 30 Premier League goals. So he was still doing his job as a world-class player because he is
Declan Rice.
Yeah, for West Ham, yeah.
Yeah, West Ham were absolute crap for how many years, and he got sold for 100 million. Why? Because he had the mentality and he was that good. Why? Because he stood out, because he was good. Oh, the team's not so great. The team's a bit poor now. So, oh no, the Romero won't stand out anymore. Well, a good, solid player will stand out in a crap team.
But that's the thing, Romero does stand out in a crap team. It's just for the wrong reasons in some cases. So, you know, because that's it's as crazy as that sounds, he does, because we're talking about Romero, we're talking about his outburst, second outburst, and then him getting sent off. And that's what we're saying. Like, I don't personally believe he is a world-class player because he always lets himself down when it comes to making rash decisions. And
I agree.
And even with the whole, aggression, he's aggressive. It's like there's control. Polina makes banging tackles, really solid tackles. Very rarely gets booked.
He gets yellows for good tackles.
Yeah, so exactly. So, but with Romero, every sending off that he's had, you cannot look at it and go, nah, that wasn't a sending off. It was. And he just, Conte said it best. He said, Romero wears his heart on his sleeve, but his mind is cold. He doesn't think. There's no thinking. He just like Kill Bill when that red when he sees the ball, it just like I think it's like a red mist goes over him. He's like, he's Brazilian. I'm gonna wreck him. He has this thing against Brazilians.
Do you know what's ironic about it? Everyone was moaning about Son being too soft, too much of a nice guy, yeah. And he was our former captain. They were like, we need more Roy Keanes, we need more Vidiches. They were proper captains. You get Romero, who's more of the aggressor, and now like fans have flipped on Romero, saying, "Nah,
English football's not as dirty as it used to be."
But here's the thing about Son:
not.
A captain is not only a captain on the pitch; it's a captain behind what's off the team. And basically, every single player said that Son would get the players together, would get them harmonized, would be all synced up together. That was
do you think Son's a better captain than Romero?
No, hear what I'm saying is a captain is not only a captain on the pitch. I think, yes, he is all round, because what he did was he got players united. What I don't think Romero has is players united. He's like, I'm better than you, you're all shit. Lead off, he doesn't.
What's that based on? Like, I want to know where that comes from.
But
it's wrong. I don't know.
Basically, Romero, you fear Romero because if you piss him off, you might get your fucking legs broken in training. But you respect Son because every player said that Son was a guy talking to the players in the change rooms, giving motivational speeches, even when he was injured. You don't see Romero doing that. Romero's like, guys, I'm just going to go and smash this player.
He doesn't hype people up on the pitch either, does he? You don't see him going up like, come on, fella, let's do it. Like Roy Keane.
Unless they're winning. Unless Spurs are winning, he's talking. You see when they're losing, he goes quiet as a mouse.
Whereas you take Roy Keane, he used to go about the pitch whether they were winning or losing or whatever. Okay, may not go about it by the mentality people like it these days. I mean, I must admit, it is a very soft community the way the life is now. More people need a kiss and a cuddle than a slap in the face. But these days, people can't handle a fact of it being put in your face. You're playing crap, get your act together. They want to have their head stroked and told nicely, you're not doing too well. I think you can do better and blah, kiss them. That's an attitude of a lot of players these days.
Hold on. But isn't Martin Odegaard like the scums captain and he's soft and he doesn't go backing up all the
players? He's crap.
Yeah, but they're sitting in second. So is he a good captain?
I haven't really paid attention to him as captain.
This is what I'm saying. But you're all saying what you're all saying. But then if you go and look at other captains around the league, a lot of them are soft and not. They're a bit like Sonny.
But I'm just looking at a captain of. That's the age difference in that aspect, yeah. That's where I look at it.
I think we are. I think we haven't moved on.
Yeah,
that's just Gerrard was a captain that by example. You know what I'm saying?
Gerrard was a great captain. Yeah, but he had the aggression on the pitch as well, and he wasn't scared to stand there and tell a player about himself. He wasn't scared to defend it. Yeah, but Romero don't go about and
Romero breaks a player. that's the thing. He breaks a player. He doesn't go to his teammates and go, "Come on." It's like, right, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to score.
I don't know how to player about Romero. I was trying to ask a question about mentality. No, I was just talking about the actual squad because it's not just Romero didn't play against Newcastle when we lost 2-1. So, like, the question really is about the other players, mentality-wise.
Yeah, we've covered that as well.
Van der Ven played.
Yeah, no, Van der Ven did play. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, I think
it was the mentality of the players that were on the pitch that kind of let down the team, really. And we're here now we're talking about Romero being captain, and he didn't play a single minute. So that's what I'm talking about now.
Again, it led on to Romero, but like I originally said that you have some players that are good and some players who are average. And those players who are average, when they like
who's average? Who's the average players on that against Newcastle? Who are the average players?
Yeah, because Romero. So what Ash basically said, just get there. Romero wasn't playing, but yet he was the problem. All the other players. No. We're not saying. Where's the narrative?
I am not personally saying. I'm not saying that Romero is a problem. I'm saying what the factual evidence of what Romero does. I've never said, and I think he's a liability.
Yeah, but what's that got to do with Newcastle and why the players didn't step up? If Romero's not
the players didn't step up because they didn't give a damn. They didn't want to play for any. And it was a Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They're going to get booed off the pitch. Done. Sick of it. Can't raise your level to that. And again, I did say that the reason why I think that Romero, Van der Ven, and those good players were frustrated at the other players who aren't stepping up, who are making errors and making mistakes, and I give examples. It just got sidetracked to Romero.
As always. Bruno didn't play. but what Ash is saying is like, because there's a narrative against Romero, everything always leads back to him. But actually, he hasn't even played in that game, and yet people we asked the conversation around that, and it still led back to Romero, who didn't even touch the pitch.
Other people took it off to Romero.
It's because they
they dug the path.
I'm just trying to find a clip here where basically they scored a goal. All right, here it is. Boom. Gallagher's got the ball. Yeah, watch this.
I never want to see
should
it
have put him
again.
through. Yeah.
Please shield my eyes.
And then look at the players' reactions.
Yep.
Look at
That's
the players' reactions.
This was a throwaway game. They weren't playing for Frank. They weren't
Look at the players' reactions, though. Where was the players' leadership?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I've been saying. They're throwing their hands up and they're pissed off at each other.
Hands on their head. Oh, what are you doing? You know what I'm
they
saying?
weren't playing for him.
This is
They don't play as a team.
That's
And I tell you, at that point in the game as well, just soon after that, we heard in the stadium, there was like, it sort of like took a while to go around, that West Ham had scored and Leeds had scored. So there was like this ripple effect after this whole thing happened, and the whole energy of everything just shifted. So I think it was partly that, but they just gave up. Like, they just wanted to make a point. They just weren't behind it.
Wow.
I just think that Gallagher makes an error, and that's a player thing. Throwing their hands up. Adogi throws his hands up. It's like, and then they're trying to get back, and I think Gallagher's trying to sprint back, but yeah, it's too late.
So bad.
There's enough players back there.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no talking.
Enough players back,
no
and we still don't defend well, and it's still horrific.
Yeah.
Look how many players.
We've got enough players back there. It's not like we got caught on the counter.
It's anyway. I just thought I'd bring that up in it. Yeah.
All right. So let's move on.
Don't worry. You never have to see that style of play again.
Yeah.
You never have to see Frank Law again.
So.
Not as Spurs. Not as Spurs. Not as Spurs.
So.
Maybe a Palace. But not as Spurs.
Anyone who's played Championship Manager 0001 would know who this guy was straight away who's coming. Right? And legends to anybody knew who this guy was. So Igor Tudor's coming. Look, we've only known for like a few days now, but what is everyone now expecting for the rest of the season with this new man at the helm?
If it's anything to do with, because some of the players did come out afterwards, or rumor of it, you always see the thing on the press. Actually, put that the manager was just a bit of a wet fish, yeah. That he didn't exactly get him hyped up. Not that he should have to do that for a game against Arsenal or Chelsea. That shows the player's mentality, but that is the manager's job at the end of the day, yeah? Now, I remember him as a player, and as a player, he was a good player. It's just these days, you wouldn't go, these days you get called a world-class player just like that because the football is very average these days to what it was 20 years ago. I mean, you could take an average player back then and say he's world-class now. I mean, Tudor, he was a good player at Juventus and a good player at Croatia. And back then, he was that old school defender, Tony Adams type of player that would, if he weren't getting you, if you weren't getting the ball, it'd get you. And as a defender, you could play like that then. As a player, you could do that. These days, you can't even flick him on the ear roll. But you can also see, I knew him from also managing at Juventus for a bit because I follow Serie A and that. And there's definitely a different mentality of a person there. If you go by his person as a player, which is what I'm going to go with, I don't know him off the pitch, he's definitely a lot more in your face, to the point, and he looks like he wouldn't take no crap either. I mean, if you're going by charisma and just how it looks, who's going to be the one that you sit there and listen to more? Is it going to be someone like Thomas Frank who's sitting next to you with his notepads looking at the floor while he's talking to you? Or someone like him who's 6'4", you know he's got history as a good player and a solid player who gets stuck in and has got a bit of aggression on him. A bit of charisma is what the players were saying they wanted. Is that why they've got him? Is that what he's got? I think time will tell with that one.
Does anyone think he's going to not do too well? Does anyone think he may flop? Because there's a few people that I've heard in the space. They weren't too happy about the appointment. And they're looking at it like, how many games would it take before you say, right, he has to go? Like, for example, if he lost 4 games on the bounce, have we made a mistake?
Well, it
Do
depends.
we get rid?
It depends on him. If he goes in and tries to set up his formation and do that, he's going to backfire. It's going to backfire against him. That's not what these players want. He has to go in and just get all those players playing, and even keep the 4-3 whatever, but don't switch the back
4-3-3. Yeah, you think you will keep?
Yeah,
that?
He's going to switch it.
He can't. If he switches it, it's going to be the worst mistake. You don't have the players for it. The players haven't played that formation, and basically he hasn't got the time.
Twice.
That's twice. And how did that work?
They drew against Burnley, and then they had to skip it in the first half against Man City.
Right. Okay. So basically, to go in and change the tactics straight away, it's just going to be no. He has to go in and just get those players playing for each other. That's the first thing. Yes, I'm not saying he can't change the tactics later on, but for the first 4 games, get those players playing for each other, and that's all he has to do. Get them motivated. That's it. If he goes in and starts saying, right, I want to play this way, it fills the players' heads with nonsense, and they're just going to go, nah, can't be bothered, flatline.
Does anyone disagree with Warren?
He plays with 3 at the back, full stop.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. I know he does, but...
I know. I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
He plays with 3 at the back. I mean, that's the formation I prefer. I prefer playing with a 3-4-2-1.
So hold on, you said, how's the 4 at the back been doing us for the last month or so? He checked, I mentioned those 2 games, but the 4 at the back ain't been doing us that well either.
We ain't got the team to do 3 at the back, have we? Really now?
Or
even
4? Not now.
Have we got?
Because Romero's out. out.
And Danso's out. We've got 2 fit centre backs. Or you play Byfield, or you've got Paulinho. So it's a case of introducing a young player.
Archie Gray if you need to.
How can we play a 4-2-3-1 though? We haven't got a winger at the club.
No, Porro's back in this weekend, isn't he?
But he's not.
He could be 4 at the back, solid midfield, and then have 2 number 10s. Or
we haven't done that. We always
play his wing backs though really high up to act as
he plays a 3-4-2-1.
So the right back and the left back could be really high up. So the winger thing isn't going to be an issue.
No, he plays them complete. So when it comes back, we got 5 at the back, and when it goes forward, he uses the wing backs to press forward, uses the centre mid to come as the DM, and the other 2 to cover the centre back role. That's what he did at Juventus.
Yeah.
He basically plays them complete to do the whole job, and have we even got wing backs capable of doing that?
I don't think that's the point. I'm not going against his tactics. I'm saying when he looks at that squad, he cannot play a system that's not going to work, because he needs is hard runners and players ready to run for each other. And if they're not willing to do that, remember Zach, who took over after Conte? Who was the assistant manager then?
Stellini.
Yeah, and he got hammered 6-1. Yeah. Remember, he played 3 at the back, and Mason was going, you got to change the tactics. If he plays 3 at the back this weekend, I think Arsenal will hammer Spurs. And you don't want to start that. You want to start.
Remember, also, when Frank played 3 at the back against Arsenal at the Emirates, we got trashed.
He didn't play 3 at the back.
He played 5
11.
at the back.
He played 11 at the back. Don't even give me that he did 3 at the back. The second that game started, we had 11 people behind that ball. I get where you're coming, but that was not 3 at the back. 3 at the back. He played 3 at the back, not 11.
His midfield let him down that day.
But remember, he had a fit. Vicky van der Ven, Romero wasn't suspended. He played at the back, and he also had Danso. So that was the back 3. And then Doggy played left wing back. Right wing back was even, yeah. So now the Doggy, he's injured now, right? And then we had right wing back was, I believe it was Spence. Yeah, it was Spence. It wasn't even Porro. Imagine that. It was Spence. And people have been calling for Spence to be wing back because he's up and down. He's a bit more aggressive. I know Porro's better at crossing, but people wanted to see Spence as a right wing back rather than playing him as a left wing back because he's got a right foot, and it doesn't make sense of a right footer playing on the left side. So we actually played the Igor Tudor's way. Do you know what I'm saying? And got mullered. And I think the only difference was Odeberg played. I remember Odeberg played as a left 10. Yeah, and Kudus was the right 10. And then obviously Richie was up top. He scored that goal from the halfway line. But now we've got no winger. And then the right 10, we don't tend to really have a right 10. But I think Gallagher won't play there. It'll be either Moani, who did play under Tudor and he did score goals for him, or it will be Tell. But I think he'll probably go for experience and go for Marnie up top there. But there's an issue there, like if you've got Dragushin or Paulinho, as most people are saying Paulinho could play there, one of them's going to have to play the central centre-back role.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a bit techie where Arsenal, you're going to see like, all right, so Mickey van der Ven's fine. But if you've got your left wing back as Spence, then he's going to be against, what's his face?
Saka.
It's going to be against Saka. Or Madueke, yeah. So lots of people have been saying Sousa, the young kid. I said, no way. Sousa will not get played as a wing back because the physicality and asking him to play against Saka is a no-no. In my opinion, I don't think it'll be a good matchup. You know what I mean? So
I just think that he's got nothing to lose. Look, whoever the manager was coming in was going to have to make do and be creative with whatever they've got, right? Like, it's no lie that we have 11 fit players. So it doesn't matter who the manager was and what tactic you want to do. Ultimately, you've got to play with whatever's in front of you. And I think part of, tactics is one thing. I think the other side to all this is that the players almost have a point to prove in that proving that Frank was the problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, as in the players have to step up because they were the ones who wanted Frank out. Ultimately, they were the ones who weren't playing for him. So now how stupid are they going to look if they go into a game and they're not playing for the manager? It's going to look even worse on the players. So it's almost as if like the players themselves do have, for me personally, like I need to see more from the players. We're saying that we've got a mixed team and some of them are mediocre, but at the end of the day, they've got to prove themselves. And part of that is playing for the manager, but they also have to accept that this is the situation. And sometimes you have to play out of position, but you're a professional. And so, look, we might get run over, but if it means that the players show some fight, I wouldn't be so opposed to that. Like, I'm not expecting to take anything from Arsenal. So if we lost the game, I don't think any of us would be surprised. But as long as we go out there on the front foot rather than 3 at the back and sit back, I think most of us would probably say that's okay given the situation.
Why is 3 at the back sit back? 3 at the back.
No, I'm saying under Frank. That's what we did. Okay. We sat everyone back.
I misunderstood.
But it's different if you're playing a high line and you're aggressive and you're pushing forward because you haven't got the defense there. But then if you're on the front foot, then you kind of change the momentum. And of course, we're playing at home this time. So
I know it was. Did anyone watch the Arsenal Wigan game? I know it was Wigan. That's the caveat. I know it was Wigan. They're not.
No, I heard about it too much.
Well,
did they get another injury?
They played with a high line. Wigan played with a high line.
Calafiori's injured, yeah.
Arsenal decimated that high line. And I know we've got more athletic players. We've got more legs. comparing Tottenham to Wigan's a no-no. But do you think playing a high line?
Didn't he play like so many players in different positions as well, though? Like they were trying new positions on the day. Like Saka playing behind the thing.
He had like Saka, Eze, and Madueke all in one team, and he had
Eze was the number 8, wasn't he?
Yeah, he had Jesus on the wing, Martinelli as a false 9. It was the tactics were completely different. But I just remembered when we played them, Saka would drop, and then it would be they had the false 9 in what's his face? Mourinho. Mourinho would drop in sometimes, and it'd be the other way around where you see Eze do the false 9 thing and run into the box. So they've got so much options. It's going to be a hell of a task. But the point I was going to make anyway, forget all of that. Intensity seems like his game plan. Like he likes to be intense. Can we afford to be intense game after game with the amount of injuries that we have? Do you think we would be?
We can at first, Ash, because we've only got one game a week, and if you can't be intense in the Premier League, then you shouldn't be playing in the Premier League. I don't buy this. If you're too intense, you're going to get injured. If you don't play intense, you're going to lose. Exactly. If you don't play intense in the Premier League, you're going to lose games. So you have to play like that, and it can't be any worse than what we played last time with Frank, where we just sat back and allowed them to attack us wave after wave after wave. We
didn't even want to be there.
Sorry?
They didn't even want to be there, did they?
No, they didn't. That's the thing. There was no motivation. There was no passion. There was no fight. There was nothing. If this guy can just put some of that into these players, it won't matter about the bloody formation. It will matter about how they go out there and they fight for every single ball. If they do that, us Spurs fans will be happy. Even if we lost we saw we were creating chances, we were putting tackles in, we were trying to fight, we were trying to beat this side rather than sit back and act defeated before we've even started. His formation must have told the players before they even walked out that, by the way, we're not going to try and win this game. They must be thinking, what's the point? Do you know what I mean? So if this guy could just give some passion into this, they could put up a fight.
The one thing that will help as well is, I think the one thing that will help as well, and maybe another reason why it was done, I think that what the fans will be when those players step on the pitch, the noise will already be there. The fans won't just be waiting for something to happen. And I think if they'd have kept Frank, the fans would have just been like, we'll wait, Arsenal win, boo, you know what I mean? So I think that decision as well. So now you have the fans who they're going to have the release and singing and chanting and banners and everything. And that, I think that will help the players as well.
I agree. I was going to say, are you concerned about the lack of Premier League experience that he doesn't have coming into these games?
Nah.
Or do you don't think that's not really an issue?
Frank had experience and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So if you don't have experience, if you do, it means nothing, you know?
Manager
had experience at Spurs and he went to Forest. How did that go?
Manager, as all he's got to be able to do is watch the games on bloody TV, yeah? He hasn't actually got to get and adapt to playing football on that pitch like a player. For a player to come over league to league, that's harder. For a manager, he's got to do his managing job and he's got to sit there and watch some games of football of what Spurs have been doing, either way, and know how it works. To sit there and watch it and then tell your team how you want them to do it is easier, I think, than actually having to adapt from coming to a league and actually playing that type of football, doing it physically.
Well,
I'm not saying it's an easy job, full stop.
Off the back of that, do you think then he goes for a back four then? He says, right, you know what, the back three, don't think it's right for this Premier League. Let's go for a back four.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what he does. Honestly, if you go by how he plays, he's going to go three at the back. But Frank used to do it as well quite a lot at Brentford. And have we got the team to do that? Have we got the team to play with wingers? Definitely not. Have we got? He's got to adapt to what he's got now, isn't he? He's got to adapt to what he's got.
Are you looking at him sideways? Is what I'm asking. Then are you thinking, "Oh, what's he doing? Why is he going for a back three? Well, we clearly don't have the team for it." And then we get beat.
If he goes and plays with wingers, I'll be saying, "What are you doing?" If he goes and tries and plays with wingers, I'll be saying, "What are you doing?" We haven't got a single winger there.
No, it's just questions. I'm just asking questions.
So what does he do then?
Yeah. He's probably just got to play what he's got to
play.
play.
I don't think I would care. I don't care what he goes with. I just want to see how they play.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
all right,
it.
You say that.
Guys,
you say that.
just
All
play
right,
football.
Oren, you say that. Oren, you say that. But if he plays Basuma, how are you feeling if Basuma starts?
Basuma man of the match.
Well, he kind of has to, doesn't he? But that's the thing. He might look at Basuma and go, right, does he like discipline? No, Basuma, just be Basuma. Do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
He's just got to get Basuma playing as Basuma played last year in Europa League. If he can get Basuma playing like that, then
I think that's what Angie said to Basuma. Just be Basuma. I don't want you to be disciplined. Don't want you to track back. I just want you to do what you want to do. I'm not going to play in the Premiership, but I'm going to play here because it's your. And I think, like I said, he has to go in, and the first thing more than in the training, just get those players happy, get those players playing. Get them working with each other.
Apparently, that's what he's good at. So
yeah, that's the foremost. And then
other thing with the manager, yeah. I mean, coming into Spurs as a manager, okay, you can say we've got probably the most divided fan base in football. I don't think anyone will argue that one, but fair enough if you do. But I'd say we've got the most divided fan base in. The most he's going to get off us is a couple of boos, a bit of this, a bit of that. And what? We have got the most flopping fan base out there who haven't got the bottle to do anything except give it a boo. That is all he's going to get. You look at some of the clubs he's actually managed at. He's managed at clubs where players will turn up at his door with his mother there. Yeah. Quite literally. That's not an exaggeration. Yeah. When he comes to Spurs, he's going to look at that fan base and think you're a bunch of minors anyway. Because what is this fan base? What? It gives it a boo and that's it. Or maybe if it has a protest, they might have 100 people stand outside and say, we want Enoch out and that. He's got nothing to worry about with the fan base or anything like that, how that turns on him. So he's just going to come in and do what he thinks he's got to do. If it doesn't work for him, he can quite easily sit there at his next win with his pen and paper and say, well, look at the pricks I took over, who would have saved that one? Yeah, they was already in a relegation fight. I did what I could. It's only 12 games. I don't think he's got nothing to worry about. And this fan base ain't going to be no threat to him. They're no threat to no one but themselves. We got the most pathetic fan base in the culture of football.
And to add to that, Juventus are a lot worse than we are.
Lazio, mate.
Yeah. Lazio, Juventus.
Their ultras turn up at your door, mate. I mean, where else?
Let me phrase the question.
Yeah, they do.
I feel like everyone's quite positive on Igor Tudor in his panel. Let me phrase it different. I'm going to ask, how long do you give him? How long do you give him before you're like,
12 games.
This ain't working. This ain't. Could be relegated by then.
11.
How can you not
11.
be positive though? How can you not be positive? Like he's walking into the line. He's walking into the Lions den. Our house is on fire right now. Like we're in absolute shambles. Like any manager who's walking in is a brave man. And I know what Dame was just saying there, but I'm telling you now, like the stadium against West Ham, it was the worst I've ever seen it. I would never want to go to the Spurs ground again being like that. It was absolutely horrendous. I mean, even last game, you know, I'm kind of actually optimistic about the game against Arsenal now, because at least, the very least, our fan base is going to be a bit on side. But I don't understand how you can't get behind the manager at this point. That guy hasn't even played.
Teddy Sheringham said the appointment is a disaster. He came out and he was like, this isn't.
Yeah, but what does he know? What does he know? He hasn't had a job in ages. He works for TalkSport.
Wow, Teddy.
He's got told to say that.
The thing is, it's like
he's bitter. He didn't get the job. Come on, like you know.
Well, Sherwood and Sheringham, yeah, Sherwood and Sheringham. Right.
But then people were saying they wanted Redknapp, and yes, Redknapp. Okay, as a player, as a man-to-man manager, it probably could still be one of the best about. And Redknapp, yes, he did know his tactics were respectable, but he was definitely more of a man-to-man player. But people were saying they wanted Redknapp, who's like, he's nearly 80 and he probably needed to take a fucking piss 4 times every game, for God's sake.
I wouldn't want to see a heart attack.
You know what I mean?
He'd be twitching, flipping.
Who was we really going to get? Who was we going to get?
That's the biggest question.
I don't think anyone predicted Tudor coming in, because I didn't. But
no one.
If you look at everywhere he's been, I mean, Marseille, he got on the most points they'd had in 10 years. Juventus basically got him to the Champions League before he had to leave, and that he got the team that far. Lazio, Udinese rescued both of them, and that everywhere he's been, from what I've seen, 8 times out of 10, he starts off very well, and then starts to fall
gets the 18th month treatment, then he really.
Yeah. And as all we want is someone who can come in now, give us that honeymoon period of 4 or 5 games where we can get, say, 3 wins, 2 draws, and you can pretty much say the season's pretty much safe. That's all we need right now. Go in and do your shit, and then we'll focus on our problem next season. He knows he's here for 12 games. He hasn't got to worry about whether he gets it right or wrong, really, because it's not going to go against him on his paperwork and that. He hasn't got to worry about none of this poxy fan base or whatever, and he'll just get on with it and do what he's got to do, and let's just hope it goes right. I just can't see him being worse.
Last question. Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, we were getting relegated under Frank anyway, so it's like, it's no different.
I agree.
No difference. Yeah. It's like, you know, it's the lesser of two evils at this point.
We were 100% getting relegated under Frank.
I'm going to ask the questions. Because everyone's agreeing on the panel. So the last one I want to ask was,
I thought that was 50-50. That look.
Is it, man? This is what Frank does to you, isn't it? But listen, and Vinay and Langer. But anyway, where does our goals come from? That's what I want to know. Because when he was at Juventus, he had a player called Yildiz that would set up the goals for Moani. Do you understand? And that's why Moani looked so good. And if you looked at the left-hand side, he had Cambiasso as a left wing back, who we were linked with about a season and a half ago to be maybe competing with a doggy. Cambiasso and Yildiz as a pair, they were just creating havoc on that left-hand side. And then obviously Conceição, he's another right-sided 10, but also a winger. He was creating havoc. So they were creating chances for Moani, and they have Vlahovic. Him and Vlahovic were like competing against each other. So that's the reason why you probably saw an upturn in form. But where do our goals come from? Like, irrespective of the manager.
Solanke, because that's our only choice.
He's got Xavi, he's got a Solanke. That's.
You never know. Moani might actually go, all right, I'll turn up now.
You know what I mean? So, like, because he speaks Italian as well and stuff like that. So, like, I think it's again, it's just about getting those players playing. That's all it is. It's just like, guys, play fucking football. Now, here's the thing, like under Angie, I can remember, I think it was the second season or maybe the first season, where you can actually hear him on TV. Basuma gets the ball and he passes it backward, and he's like, pass the fucking ball forward. Conte would constantly say, play, 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 play. So it's a mental problem of this has gone on, where when these players get safe, they drop back intentionally. And I think what Frank needed to be was, Frank was too nice. Players looked at him and went, oh, you're just nice. He didn't swear. He didn't do anything. And I think that what Tudor has to do is, as soon as he sees those players sitting back, he goes, play. Let's go. Come on. And that's what he has to do. He just has to get
he's pretty loud on the side as well. He's pretty loud at telling them what he wants them to do. So
yeah, just get those players fired up. That's it, first and foremost. And then,
I think just getting these players motivated and fired up will keep us up. I think just that, that will keep us up.
That's it.
That's it. That's all he needs to do.
How many wins?
5.
You're saying 3?
I'm saying 5.
You're saying 5. You're saying 5 to be safe, yeah? Okay, cool. All right, let's
5,
move on, man.
And 5 and he'll win the Champions League because it's just Spurs.
17th in Champions League, yeah. Easy, mate. Easy.
Spurs end up playing a bit like some really low team that wasn't meant to get through, but hypothetically they beat PSG or Real Madrid.
We're going to play Juventus. You just know we are. Like that's just written in the stars for Igor Tudor. Like just going from Juventus and having to play like that's just Spurs, isn't it? Like,
at least Mawani might turn up for that game if we do.
I think Mawani just. He's the one player that I would say every time you saw him, I was like, I can't be bothered with this shit. I'm alone here. You know what I mean? Like, fans are booing.
You can clearly see he doesn't want to be here.
Yeah.
I think that's clearly you can see it. But
I'm saying, like, if Spurs were sitting third and playing well, I think he might show a different attitude. I think he's came into a club thinking it was going to be rosy, and then shit hit the fan. He's like, nah. I'm not part of this club. I'm alone.
I mean, look, Mawani can play on the right? Like he can play on the right as well. And realistically, we have no one else on the right. At least on the left, you have Tell. Okay, he's not great, but you know, if you've got no one else and Mawani can fill a hole there, then potentially maybe he's going to be used. And ultimately, you asked how we're going to score goals, but you need to give your striker service. So maybe with a slightly different look up front. And as long as you're delivering the balls into the box and creating opportunities, then even if you don't score them, I think fans would be happy.
Okay, but if you look at this team then, if you look at this team and go 3 at the back then, you stick Dragusin in the middle, who people don't give him no credit, but then obviously a lot of people don't watch any football except the Premier League, and you do find that out when players come over and that. When he was actually in Italy, good player. When he played as an old school centre-back, in the middle, just do your old school job. No ball playing, defending.
Back three, didn't he? In Italy,
yeah, generally, yeah. And he was actually quite a looked at player out there. And you obviously go and stick Van der Ven next to him. Who you go and stick next to them? I don't know, Paulinho or Archie Gray, whatever one they end up having to fit in there. But then you look at the rest of the team. Hopefully, Porro's going to be fit, and hopefully Spence is going to be back. You've actually got wing backs there, not people that you're. Not that you're having, but they weren't sure if he was going to play this one. But that's just what I read. Whether it's right or not, I don't know. But either way, so you got Spence on the left, you got Porro on the right. Right, there are actually 2 people that play in that position. Then in the middle, you go and do whatever you got to do with Gallagher and whoever else you have next to him. And then you can have Simmons in front of him as the number 10 as an actual playmaker. And then you can have Mawani and Solanke up front, or you can stick it as Mawani doing a sort of 10 role with Simmons, whatever. That's the only way you can really get options in it. If we start playing wingers, then you are going to have to be putting players in positions that they do not play. I'm just looking at trying to keep it. If you go and get players in their actual position, play in their actual position, you're going to get more out of them than, like people say, what is it, putting square pegs in round holes, basically.
I would argue, though, the pace of the Premier League and the I wouldn't say the physicality, but the intensity of it, it's slightly different for like a player like Dragusin, where you kind of want a ball playing centre back to, because we haven't really got any ball playing footballers. Like we haven't got any ball playing midfielders. It's normally the centre backs that up. And Dragushin, like, he's not bad at carrying the ball, but technically, I feel like teams target him on purpose, and because they know his technical ability isn't as good as the other defenders, so they kind of use him as a trigger. So maybe that's the reason why we're not seeing the best of him in a centre back pairing. Even like when I watched the game back against Newcastle, like their goal that Willock scored came from Dragushin trying to like launch a ball to one of our players, and it didn't quite get there because they were pressing him. And then off the back of it, like Willock scored, but it was offside, obviously. So like, but I do what you're saying. Your ultimate point is play your best players in a system that works for them, and play the players that are best in position that we need. But let's talk about Ange, bro. Let's talk about Ange, man.
Hold on. We're not finished with Arsenal yet. Hold on. Let's talk about Ange. We'll finish with Ange on the show. Yeah. Everybody, predictions for the weekend. I know we're going early. Does anybody here think? Obviously, we've now changed. Does anybody here think we can actually derail Arsenal's title charge on Sunday? I nearly said Saturday then.
Yes.
Go on.
2-2. Reason I go with that, right, if you actually look at it, what have Spurs got to play for, really, yeah? This game, everyone's expecting us to go out there and get totally smashed. Home or away, it doesn't matter. They are better than us in every single way. Right. New manager, new this, total mess. Even their supporters would go outside their stadium and kick off a stink of a few thousand people, unlike ours. So if you want to say that, that's up to you. When it comes down to that one, Spurs... You know what? Do I get a pen out and ticket as well? When it comes down to it, Spurs have really got nothing to lose as such. Arsenal have got everything in their favour and everything to lose. This is the one team at the moment that practically any team in the world would sit there and say, I want to go to Tottenham and play. We've won one game at home all season. We was absolutely crap at home last season. We've got relegation standards at home over the past 2 years. Arsenal are probably the best team in the country at the moment, best club in the country at the moment. They're run very well. They're scoring the goals. They're not conceding goals left, right, and centre. They're doing well in the Champions League. The league has been in the palm of their hand several times, and they've bottled it. And this is where it comes into it. When it comes to the big crunch over the past few years, Arsenal have been the biggest bottle jobs in the Premiership. Everything is in Arsenal's favour for this game. Everything, even down to the point that they're playing at Spurs, is in a team's favour now because we are so bad at home. Arsenal, if they go and even get a draw out of this and not a lose out of this, it is going to come down on them like a ton of bricks. Their fan base is going to absolutely fold. It is going to cause chaos for them in every way. They have got to come to Spurs and win. Not just for the fact that it's for that league and Man City are starting to get their act together as they usually do round about March, coming up for March. They usually do step it up, and that's when Arsenal usually fall apart. Everything is in their favour. There is not one thing there that is not in Arsenal's favour. If they was to not get a win out of this, so the pressure is 1,000,000% on Arsenal as far as I'm concerned. And I think out of that, the way I've seen them fold, I mean, about 4 or 5 times this season, they could have clearly been at least 10, 12 points clear by now. And they've messed it up nearly every time that they could have been a significant amount of points clear. Same as when they was nearly 12 points clear of City before and they folded the league and another league after that. Everything's in their favour, and this is Arsenal's prime time to mess it up. I'm going to go 2-2.
Sarah?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
With a bit of hope. There's a bit of hope.
I've never backed us to lose, but I'm not overly optimistic. I'm a bit of a realist. Everyone says I'm really positive, but when it comes to predictions, I don't know. I mean, Arsenal, they've still got to play on Wednesday, and they also have a couple of injuries, right? Calafiori's out, Ben White's out. I don't know if Havertz is still injured as well. So they've got quite a few injuries picking up, and they would have had 3 more games. I mean, look, we haven't been playing for 12 days. The players have been on their honeymoons, over Valentine's Day. So there really should be no excuses. But I just think given the change, I think maybe we can have a little bit of a bounce. So maybe a draw, maybe like a 1-1 or something like that. Maybe 1-1 possibly. But I think that's the best we're going to get. But I think we could be in for a little bit of a bounce. And the least I would hope for is just a bit more attacking. But look, Arsenal is no tough feat for the first game for a manager to come in. So he's going to want to prove himself. And I think ultimately this is going to come down to the players, right? Whether the players want to play for the manager and show a little bit for that game. And I think that'll be very revealing for the rest of the season. But I wouldn't bank on us to win. Sorry, guys, I'm going 1-0.
Alan?
So the worst thing that could happen to Arsenal was us sacking Thomas Frank. I think they won't tell you that they're probably absolutely gutted that we sacked him when we did.
They were.
Because our new manager bounce is ready for them. You know, it's a tough one to predict because we've never seen these players play under Igor before. So it's hard to predict. But like I said, if this guy can motivate these players, if he can get them to kick them up the ass, we're going to see a better Spurs. I've probably got no doubt. We cannot be any worse than we was under Frank. We just can't. The fans will be up for it, I think, a lot more than it would have been if Frank was still around. So that's given me a little hope. And a little bit of hope as well is they drew away to Nottingham Forest 0-0. They drew away to Brentford 1-1. They seem to be struggling now when they play away. And it's that time of year again, isn't it, for Arsenal? It's that time of year when they just start bottling it. And I think if they drop points to us, that would be the start of them to fall again. And I don't think they can afford to drop points to us. I think there's so much pressure on them against us. And there's no pressure on us, like Dan said. There's no pressure on us. Loads of pressure on them. I think the pressure will get to them. And I think I'm not going to go for a win, sorry. But I think we can get a draw. I really do.
It's as good as a win. A draw on this one is as good as a win.
For not for them, though. It's a loss.
No, it's not. Yeah.
It'd be very interesting to see how they get on against Wolves on Wednesday to see how much the point gap will be.
Because they're playing away to Wolves as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
I want to see that because they're struggling away at the minute.
Warren?
It's going to be a weird one here. Hypothetically, this is the fantasy I'm having. Going to be a fantasy. If that place is rocking and if those players turn up, I think it would be, remember when Arsenal came to Spurs under Conte and the crowd won Spurs that game? Arsenal were shit scared. And like the panel has said, Arsenal are the pressure, the tired playing so many games, Spurs are coming back. I think Spurs can win. I know I'm not saying they're going to smash Arsenal. I think Spurs can get if Spurs score first, they'll hit them on the counter-attack. I don't think Arsenal has been amazing this season. I think other teams around them haven't been as good as previous. And I think that if there was any chance for those players to redeem themselves to the fans, it would be let's leave everything on the line. It's go back to the old days where Spurs can finish shit, but they can beat Arsenal. I just have a feeling that there's a strong possibility that Spurs beat Arsenal. I'm not going to say 3-1 or whatever. I just think that Spurs have nothing to lose, but they also have something to prove. Arsenal, they don't want to lose. And in truth, even against Angie, Arsenal beat Spurs by being defensive and sitting back. Against Spurs this season, we all know what happened with that. So I think if these players can believe in themselves and believe that they can beat Arsenal, they'll beat them. So everyone's useless. But yeah.
I like it, mate. I like it.
Whatever you lot are all drinking, please give me some because
no, everyone's saying draw and stuff, but hey, it's positive.
A draw is a positive result in this situation.
Yeah, but I'm saying I just think that I don't think Arsenal has. I've watched a couple of Arsenal games, and there's nothing they do that makes me go, they're amazing. I just don't think they are.
I'll tell you what. I'll be fair. Like on that point, I can say that when they played Brentford, the reason why I felt like Brentford got a result is because Brentford took it to them. They literally were aggressive. The intensity was high. They were physical. They did those special long throws where they got their goal. Ironically, we don't have Frank, so it'll be interesting to see if we still do those long throws. I think we kept the set piece coach, so that's a positive. And that's the way I'll see us getting in. However, Brentford had a fully fit squad from what I can remember. we do not have a fully fit squad. I think if we had a fully fit squad, my energy would be completely different. But where we've got so many injuries and we're just struggling to put performances together, I just can't see this draw. I'll be honest with you. I can't see the draw.
And where I agree with what Orion is saying, Arsenal haven't been amazing. But what the problem is, Arsenal don't need to be amazing. A lot of teams don't need to be amazing against us. That's the thing.
I feel like a set piece or a cross, like they won't. I'm not saying they're going to pass off the park, but I just think like a dead goal, like a 1-0, I could see them doing that. Do you understand? Away from home,
games that they've drawn, and Arsenal have lost points this season. The teams have been very aggressive.
Very aggressive, and that's the way I was saying. That's the only way we could get in, because you do know that Tudor likes to be aggressive. He likes to play the high line. So I think that's the only way we could get a point out of it. But we have to play. That's just my opinion.
Hopefully they're not listening to me and Ash, they're listening to you lot.
You lot. You see, the other thing is as well.
Because the points you lot said have been absolutely spot on. I actually completely agree. But the problem is that I've never seen them do this season or last season under Ange. Even in the Europa League, I just didn't see them be aggressive like how Arsenal's weaknesses are. And it's going to take something for them to come out on Sunday and be that aggressive.
Without a doubt. Yeah. But another advantage that this manager has got here, and I think it was said at the start, someone said it at the start, basically, that as all he's actually got to do, I say it as all very lightly, I mean, because with this bunch of players, it seems like it's impossible, basically. But as all he's got to do is actually make the players look like they actually give a toss, look like they actually want to be there. That Arsenal game was an embarrassment. Why? Not necessarily because of the result, but for the sheer fact that the players went on there and we basically played from that second, we played 11 behind the ball, and you could see they didn't want to be there. They didn't want to. They just did. He could not get them hyped up for an Arsenal game or a Chelsea game. As all the manager's got to do, and again, I say all lightly, is get them to go out and just say, do you know what? Get stuck into the game. Play the bloody game. If they end up walking all over us, we're going to sit here and moan about it a bit, but we're going to see no one expected any different. They're better than us in every single which way possible. We've got all the injuries, we've got all this and whatever, but you can tell when at least when you go and get beaten, whether it's 5-0 or 1-0, but you can see your players tried. You can see they got stuck into the game. You know what? The fella got past him. He was about to get that gut. Took him out basically, and that so we could get a draw out of it, and he gets his card out of it, whatever. You can tell when players want to be there, want to get into the game, and you can also easily tell when they couldn't give a toss. And as long as he can get it look like the players actually want to be there, that is going to be a big, well, do you know what? Yeah, he's already done a job that Frank couldn't. That's one thing he has in his advantage, I think. But then, like Marlon said, when have we seen these players be like that? Few and far between.
Quick thing before we move on. I just want to read out the super chats first because there's a question obviously in there. So one from Stephen Reynolds said, thank you for super chats. Says awesome analysis as always. That was at the beginning for Ash and Sarah. We've also got a super chat. Sunday is Judgment Day. We are coming for a barbecue chicken. That is from Olu from the Rivals. Ash, need to speak to him on Wednesday. Put him in his place. Question for the panel from Danny K. What if Spurs get battered 5-0 and it's even worse? What then? Is it still Frank's fault?
Yes.
I'm going to say no. I'm saying it's the board's fault.
No, it's Danny K. Just say yes. Just say yes.
Sarah, whenever it's Danny K, you just totally go with the opposite.
Yes. Well, maybe I don't know. I don't want to be making allies because that means I make enemies. You know, gotta be careful.
He's the best enemy you could get.
Yeah, he's a good enemy.
And as this super chat says from Benji, just to piss off Danny K, yes, it'll be Frank's fault.
If he tells you he's a nice fella, just tell him he's a prick. That's all there is to it. That's Danny K.
Yeah.
Ain't you, Dan?
So, look, I just wanted to catch these last 20 minutes. I wanted to get Arsenal out of the way because obviously once Frank had been sacked, the big man who hasn't spoken for months about Spurs decided to go. He was meant to do the overlap and he was meant to be on for next week, but ends up coming on the same day Frank is sacked. And the only segment they put out was about Tottenham. Now, Ash, I'm going to start with you. What did you make of the interview, and how did it sit with you afterwards? And then that's a question going to be for everybody.
Yeah, so basically, Ange did nothing wrong, and the board never backed him. End of the story. And he's not Spursy. The club is Spursy. We've got Tudor to do everywhere, and we are the antithesis of that. And literally, like, Ange just put the dagger in the back, just a bit like what Conte did before. And even Jose's come out since then. Jose's added to that. And he's said, like, someone asked him randomly, is there a club where you feel like you've been let down or something like that along those lines? And he goes, yeah, a club that sacked me before a cup final, and I've never not won a cup final. So yeah, just perfect timing. But listen, he wasn't lying. He told some truths, but it's just like, it's crazy, isn't it? Because obviously now he's saying it. A lot of people are like, oh, wow, like, I couldn't believe it. All this time we didn't know. Like, I think a lot of Spurs fans knew already. I think a lot of Spurs, that's the truth of it. A lot of Spurs fans. But having another man saying it, another manager, someone that's close and behind the scenes saying it, kind of confirms quite a lot of people's beliefs. So, he didn't mention any of those losses, which was ironic for me. Because no, wait, whoa.
Ironic is the word.
I mean, no. The only reason why I would say that, is because before the Europa Cup run, we were 13th. So it's not like we were in like 7th or 8th. Not saying that's what he would want. He'd want us to be higher, right, than 7th or 8th, because in a lot of people's eyes, we're a mid-table team. So, like, 13th for me is on the wrong side of the table. We should be higher up. And according to him, he's a winner. So, like, make that make sense. I don't know, but yeah, that's my thing, innit? That's how I saw it. But just to end on it, Richarlison liked it. He did like that the video.
Richarlison, he's a dick.
He retweeted it.
Fucking.
And
he reposted it.
It's the one fucking guy who should never be retweeting. He stole a fucking wage from Spurs for the last since he signed.
Not retweet, repost. I mean, he reposted.
Forget Richarlison. Then.
The coffees,
you don't like Richarlison. You don't like him. Let's talk about Vertonghen. Vertonghen also seemed to like the message as well. He was agreeing with it. Yeah, Vertonghen also did as well. So that's what I've got to say with it, man. Like Juan de Ramos, George Graham.
I'll start with Alan and move across. Alan, go on.
What do you want me to say, mate?
What did you make of it?
What you feel?
So he was speaking. I'd say his truths. I think he was trying to say that I'm the only manager that has won anything.
Yeah.
Like, so what can you say against me? So he's basically sticking his chest out saying, I've won a trophy. What did those other managers do? And he's saying, I got us 5th. He said, everyone forgets that I got this team 5th. Everyone concentrates on the 17th, but forgets the 5th place. He said, when I got the 5th place, I wanted to go higher. But then he said, I got three children, basically, and Solanke. And he said, I don't mind Solanke, but the 3 kids are going to be good kids, but not now. And he said, we're not going to dare us to do upwards with 3 teenagers, basically. So to me, that's true. Like, what do we expect Spurs to do? Plus, the season when he came 5th, we didn't have European football. So we expect to be up there because we're only playing 1 game per week. But then he was saying, right, we're playing 2 games per week. We need more players in. And he started mentioning Semenyo and all those other players that he said he wants to get, and Bremo. And he said the club didn't go for any of these players, which I don't think these players would have came to us anyway. I think they would have gone where they went. But it's true. If we didn't get Premier League proven players in, we didn't build that squad up to compete on all levels. I think he realised that he's never going to win a trophy if he tries to play on all 4 fronts, and he went for the Europa League and he just trashed the league, literally trashed the league. And that's his truth. That's what I'm saying. That's what he's saying. That's what he said. I've done that. I've won a trophy because I dared and I did, but the club doesn't do that.
He basically got his job done in the aspect of they knew nothing was going to come out of that league. It was done and dusted. We weren't going to go down. It was done and dusted. And I said it in January, if they don't get rid of him, they are keeping him for one reason. They kept him and said, you know what? Forget the league. It's cool. We've done it. Go and get us that Europa Cup. Then you get to walk out of here with a cup. We get a cup. And we are in that Champions League with that money. Focus on that Europa Cup. Could he even get that job done? You can say he did on paper, but did he? Not really, because the players had to tell him how they were going to play football before the bloody game. I mean, you know, but that's a different opinion on that one than maybe of some people. But it's blatantly the players told him how they were going to do it. They couldn't win it his way. But at the end of it, on the paper, he still got us the cup. He basically got told to blow that league out because it was irrelevant. There was nothing coming off of it. When it comes down to the players he got, it's all you can turn around and say to him is no shit, Sherlock. I think pretty much most people have had it that way. Everybody knows Spurs are like that, but it's actually, for me, it's just good to hear it out of another person who's played their work there, whatever else. Because some people do just love to live on ignorance is bliss and pretend that this doesn't happen at Spurs, basically. But then it comes to the other side of look at who we got in January and everything, and look at who, when we obviously needed a lot more, have things changed without Levy? Not really. Do we look any better without Levy? I mean, personally, with the pricks we got now, I think we should keep Levy, but maybe that's a different story as well. I think he just said what we all knew anyway.
We look less organised without Levy now. It looks a shambles now.
We look worse without Levy.
Yeah.
We
weren't great with Levy.
No, we weren't.
We're just saying we look worse now.
At least when it came to the end of the window, when it came to the end of the transfer window, on that last day, if Levy would have still been here, we'd have all been sitting here saying, do you know what? 50-50 chance
what happened last year?
That a player does come in. 50-50 chance.
What happened last year?
Okay, what happened in past 25 years?
Exactly.
What I'm saying is, you haven't let me finish. You haven't let me finish.
But
you haven't let me finish.
You're saying something like this board and
how am I saying it? I haven't said anything.
The exact same
but Marlon, I haven't said anything.
Okay, go on.
Right. So when it came to the last day of the transfer window, with Levy, you could say there was even a 60-40 chance. At least you knew where you bloody stood with him. I ain't saying he was great at what he did. Yeah, okay. In a lot of ways, he done a hell of a lot for Spurs. And in a lot of ways, he ruined a hell of a lot for Spurs. But you could have sat there and said, do you know what? There's a 60-40 chance we at least get another player in on the last day of the season, whether it's a desperate player, whether it's this player. I don't think it really mattered who we got in there on the last day of the season, on the last day of the transfer window, sorry, because we are that desperate for a player in that team because we've got so many injuries. With these pair of pricks at the club, here and there, they're even worse than Levy at what they go and do, even making decisions and everything else. You were sitting there and you were pretty much sure that nothing was going to happen. At least with Levy, you would have thought you had a chance of something happening. We look worse without Levy. Happening. We look well, and many a times it has happened.
So when Ange came out last year, January, and said, we need players because we've got injuries, and still nothing happened.
With what I already told you, the deal was already done. Season was over. It was finished. He said, in my opinion, it was also made pretty clear by Van der Ven as well. Season was over. It was done and dusted. It was finished. As all they cared about was the Europa Cup because they could get a cup, get in the Champions League. It was their only way of doing it. What did it matter losing a few places in the league? What, 10 million? Look at what they got out of what happened.
So what you're saying is, so the guy left in September. This doesn't happen if Levy's still there. We're still not sitting 17th.
I think Levy, personal opinion, I think Levy would have already got rid of him by then. The reason he did not get rid of Ange is because he held on to him to win that.
You know, Ange would still be here if Levy had a choice, yeah?
No, he wouldn't. I don't think he would.
Yeah,
no, I don't think he would.
I don't think he would. He would have.
Well, tell you what I do, Marlon. Tell you what I do. I'll give Levy a ring now, and we'll see who's right. Yeah.
No, that I can agree because he didn't sign the letter. He didn't sign that. He didn't sign the sacking letter. That's how we know.
That
was a statement.
I don't think he.
And it's come out from everyone at Spurs. It came out from everyone at Spurs at the time. He didn't want Frank. He wanted to keep Ange for a third season.
With the say, I think Ange would have been gone, and I don't think he'd have got Frank. I think Ange would have been gone, and he wouldn't have got Frank.
We know what Frank wanted.
Yeah,
I don't think he would have gone for Frank.
I think
I wanted Frank personally, but I don't think Levy would have held on to Ange.
I think they would have both been sacked. Levy would have been sacked, and Ange would have been sacked straight behind him. And in all of this, we can talk about Levy, we can talk about Lang, we can talk about Vinay. But I've always said, and even being called a Levy brown nose, I've always said ENIC is a real issue. And that's whose the problem is. And I think Lang and Vinny, when they go to ENIC and the board and say, can we have these funds? Yeah. Okay, can we have them now? No. Sorry. I've always said it. Levy had a plan, maybe to keep Angie, and says, right, he's won a trophy. This is your guarantee. Look what he did. Give us the money. But the ENIC board went, nah, sorry. Bye. Have to finish 17th or finish 4th, get the money in and not spend big investment. And I think what Lang and Vivian are finding out now is that these board is saying one thing, but then when it comes to back it up, they don't back it up. And people will go, ENIC has been in charge for 25 years. How much money have they actually invested into the club? What, say 250 million? They've made far more than that, or the clubs Spurs have made far more than that. But what I've always said, when ENIC left, people will see who the real leaders are, and that's ENIC and the board. And they're doing absolutely nothing. We're going to go for Semenyo. You know you're not going to get Semenyo, but we're going to try and get a player that you're not going to get anyway. We're going to increase the wages. Okay, that's great saying that, but if you increase the wages and you bring players in that have to pay high wages, Romero and Van de Ven and all those players want high wages. So maybe you can't do that. Daniel Levy has his critics, but he was good at being a businessman.
I think Daniel Levy was the one. I think Daniel Levy wanted to keep the wages low, and so he could have more room for PSR, which he was a massive advocate for.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, I get you, but what I'm telling you is that Daniel
across 4 or 5 years. Go on,
yes, sorry. Which is fair. But what I'm saying is that I believe that first of all, Jude Lewis wanted that, ENIC wanted that, and I think I listened to. It was someone said years ago. It was Alvin Andre. He said, if you really think about how Spurs operate, is that they don't want to win trophies, because if they win trophies, they'll have to bring in big players and break the wage bracket.
I agree.
And it's not Daniel Levy, it's ENIC. How can ENIC for 25 years not make one single under Poch? They had all the reasons to invest into that club. They didn't.
Wait for a second. In that interview, I'm sure Sarah will touch on this. Ange did say, and he was like, "Oh, we've been in finals before, yeah, but you know, it's not normally this relaxed.
Yeah,
we don't really do well in finals, something like that, something along those lines."
Yeah, but he's right.
Yeah,
but he was right.
So
Spurs have never won a final.
Isn't that?
Don't say it, even if it is true.
No, but you see, that's taken out of context, because I think what Levy was saying is he was nervous because this was all Levy kept Angie in the promise that he will deliver the European League. So of course he has the right to be nervous. And so therefore, I think when he won it, I think Levy thought, right, I'm going to stay and Angie's going to stay and we can build from this. But the board went, no, bye, both of you, you're both gone. So I've said it before, we've had a full, I mean, everyone was saying that Levy's gone, you're all celebrating. And I said, wait till January. You'll see if it was Daniel Levy or ENIC. And fans said, we'll see.
Also, sorry to cut you, there's another point when I think it was Pochettino was speaking. No, was it Lloris? He brought up about the watches situation. Yeah. And it kind of was saying, because he was giving out finalist watches. Well done, finalists. Saying,
you've already lost.
It's like, he's rewarding them before he's actually won anything. Yeah. And so that mentality you talk about all the time from the players are the problem mentality. Isn't that mentality coming from the top? And Levy was part of that problem. And he's, like they say, birds of a feather flock together. Isn't he like one of the same part of the people? Do you know what I mean? Like,
look at it.
He might have billionaire traits.
Yeah, but I very much Daniel Levy turned around and said to Poch, go and play an injured player as your striker. Harry Kane was not fit.
He might have done, because remember,
I very much doubt that.
Wait, hold on. Him and what's his name? Baldini came up to. They said, "Why are you playing Harry Kane?"
Harry Kane, yeah.
Yeah,
so he has,
why are you playing Harry Kane?
Whoa. If you're going to bring that up,
manager's job to make the decision.
If you're going to bring that up, It's not like Harry Kane was banging goals in. He was loaned out.
He wasn't.
And he was a late bloomer.
No, at the time, that time he wasn't.
No, he'd only just come back. He'd
make
literally
is-
only just started getting good with us then when Sherwood.
No, you're missing the point. You're
missing the point.
You're missing the point. The point I'm trying to make is the fact that Harry Kane was a nobody. And he was like, we paid all this money for Salah, they're not playing here. Yeah. Who are we not to say he hasn't come onto the final and saying Harry Kane's our best striker? Why are you not playing him now? Do you understand? It's the same type of mentality that I'm talking about. So then Poch is like, all right, cool.
But Poch was going to play Harry Kane. He was his golden boy.
Yeah. Yeah, no then it shows Poch was just nothing but a yes man and hasn't got a pair of balls on him at the end of the day.
Because again, Poch gave an interview and said how even with Harry Kane, Spurs went, we need a third striker. And Poch said, why? We've got Harry Kane. We don't need him.
Harry Kane hadn't played for 3 months. 3 months, I think it was, he hadn't played for.
Yeah, and Poch
only because his name was Harry Kane, Poch went and played him. Biggest mistake he made. He should have maybe brought him on with 20 minutes.
What, no, we're talking about under Tim Sherwood, not the final. But yeah, he shouldn't have played.
About what he did in the final.
Yeah. To be fair, his biggest mistake was playing Harry Winks, who hadn't played for a few months before as well. He had two players out there. Where Liverpool had Firmino, who hadn't played for months, and we had Harry Kane, so it was kind of even. The biggest problem I always said was Harry Winks.
We should have played Lucas Moura. I agree as well, but we should have started Lucas Moura. He'd just put in the hat trick for us. Harry Kane hadn't played for 3 months. He was not match fit. He shouldn't have started.
I am conflating the points though, but the overall arching point I was trying to make is Daniel Levy for me wasn't. In terms of mentality, in terms of like winning, I always felt like he was always pushing for top 4 for financial gain. Now, you guys would say it was because of Enoch. Enoch wanted that financial gain. But I'm saying Levy was married to that. And here's my conspiracy theory. Now, let Sarah talk because she hasn't said anything. My conspiracy theory is that Paratici was Levy's guy, innit? And Levy obviously left and Enoch forced them out. And he's like, listen, I'm not helping you guys. I'm not doing the smooth transition passover to get you guys used to the ropes, whatever. Paratici is my guy. I want him gone as well. And he probably told him, bro, I want you to cut as well. I want you to leave. Don't help this board. Go and do your own thing.
Paratici gave us Igor though. He gave us Tudor.
Yeah, he did. Well, no, but they might have left the laptop open and the emails open. They were like, let's go for Tudor. You know what I mean? But that's my conspiracy anyway out there. Go on, Sarah. Sorry.
What's the question?
We're talking about
Okay. My take is he's absolutely right. I mean, I was an Ange fan, so I don't really care. I was there in Bilbao. We won the trophy. Like, I don't really care that we came 17th. So what if we came 12th? Obviously, from a financial perspective, it's absolutely terrible. And the board, probably should have backed him in the first year, which is the whole point of all of this. Because, guys, it's not just Ange. Like, this has been going on for decades. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's a cycle that we just haven't been able to get out of, right? Like, we try and get into Europe, we play twice a week, we have an injury-prone squad, and we just go through this cycle again and again. And I think that compounded with the fact that, we moved stadiums. I think Pochettino was a different era because we were still in the old stadium. So I think the energy was different, the atmosphere was different. I don't think you can compare apples and pears. I think the difference was we built the stadium so that we could kick on, right? So that we had all the facilities for Europe. And then they didn't back him. The first guy to get us back into Europe, being in the new stadium, okay, maybe Conte did it and then he got fired, but it's almost like what they set out, they didn't actually back. And this is like a recurring thing. So I think Ange is full well in his right to express that. Obviously, he hasn't spoken about Forest, and I reckon that's going to come in the follow-up. But the other thing I would say on the downside of all of this as like a PR optics piece is that this doesn't look good for us as fans of the club, because we now have to sit here and take him publicly slating the fact that we're not going to be an attractive prospect for players who want to come in. And so I think now this is kind of like as if players didn't already know this, right? It almost makes it so much worse because he's coming. Look, it was the fastest podcast about sport to get to 1 million, right? It's probably got like 3 million views now. And I think the optics of it, I think Ange and Vinay, if they're going to be here who knows, or Kate Miller or whatever her name is, the new marketing person, they've got a big job to do to repair the reputation if they're going to continue this legacy. Because, you know, he's come out and said it, but he's not the first guy to say it. It's just that he now has a platform and he has more weight because he won the trophy. He didn't get back though.
Yes,
come on, he got bought.
Okay, who did he get bought on his first season? How much money got spent on him compared to any other manager?
But we got rid of Kane. So you needed to.
Life goes on.
Players.
He was never going to have Kane anyway.
No,
Look how many players did he get that started in that first 11? How many?
No, I'm sorry. Kane is an irreplaceable.
How many players did he get? Then don't try and replace him. Just get another good striker. Then we didn't do that. Fine. How many players did that got in that first team?
Exactly. We didn't get another striker.
There's more there than 11. How many players did he get that went in that
but this is
team?
the whole point of squad planning. We have a bloated midfield.
Yeah, but there's more than one just a striker.
Right. Yeah, but this is exactly the point, right? There's no legacy planning. There's no long-term vision. Like we always do this thing where we short-term plan for like now until the end of the season, or with Frank it was supposedly 3 years, but then we still didn't back him in January. So you're never backing anyone. And
how much money did he get spent on him?
Who?
Ange.
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. Go on, you tell me.
What are we in? Around about 300 million, isn't it? Something along that. How many players did he get started in his first team? Ange got backed more than any other manager has ever got backed at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, but that was expected. But that's what we. But that's what we expected. We sold Kane for 100 million. That is what we expected. When they told us they were going to kick on, that is exactly what we thought they were saying, right? As to this season, we saw Son go and we expected to buy another left winger, and all we did was sign Tell. It's just
Ange got back. I'm talking about Ange. Ange got back more than any other.
Not in the second season.
Not in the second season.
Second season at the start, he got backed.
Yeah, and he finished
more
fifth.
money than anyone else.
Fifth that season. He finished fifth after getting back
I would argue to say that Archie Gray, as much as he's a £40 million player, is not the best whatever position he is. Yeah, but that's what we paid for him. So you can say we backed.
Because we're silly enough to do that.
Yeah, right, but this is misplaced judgment. This is the whole thing, right? This is the crux of the argument. It's not about any manager. It's about the bigger picture of we keep going through this stupid cycle, quite frankly. Like it's sad. It's sad because no one at the club can see the vision that they set out. And the thing is, they set this superficial goal. We're going to compete in all fronts, but they didn't mean it. It was empty promises. It was empty words. And fair play to Ange for calling it out. Like people might say, oh, he didn't adapt. Oh, he didn't win. But whatever way you spin it, we still won. Right. So it doesn't matter who's the mouthpiece, whether it's Conte, whether it's, I don't know, Postecoglou, whether it's Frank, whoever the mouthpiece is, the story's still the same. Like ENIC is still there. And that's the fundamental problem.
ENIC are the problem.
For me.
This is what I say to people. ENIC are the problem. Levy wasn't the problem. He was part of a problem, but he wasn't the problem. And it's starting to show. But for me, Ange actually got backed. That's the only bit I'm debating on that. The rest of it, I'll totally go with you. ENIC are the issue at this place.
I don't think Odebear gets into many teams. He's from he can go to Burnley for all I care. Like Archie Gray and Bergvall. If we were in top floor, would they still be playing for us? Maybe if they were in their prime. But they're kids. They're kids. We've just bought Sousa. We've just done exactly the same thing again. Like we've literally just done the same thing.
Like with Archie Gray. Archie Gray shouldn't even be at the club. For 40 million, I
have no problem. Me
and Sava sat there and went through about. I'm agreeing with you now in the aspect of Archie Gray at 40 million. Me and Sava sat there and went through about 5 players that we would have picked, and other players that we had also mentioned that got bought for about 30 million and half the wages of Archie bloody Gray. That is one stupid thing Spurs do like to do. And then you get a lot of Spurs supporters go out there and will back Archie Gray and Odebert and stuff like that, but that's late the others. But Ange got backed with a lot of players in his first season, more than anyone.
I'm not backing Sousa just for the chat, and I'm not saying I'm dissing Gray. I'm just saying what I'm saying is these players are players for the future, and the problem is we always, this is what we do, right? I tell you now, in 3-4 years' time, when we've devalued Gray and Bergvall, we'll sell them.
Okay,
that's what we'll do.
Dan, on the backing business, yeah. So you got back to that first season, as you're saying. Where did Ange finish?
5th.
Okay. So these were the players he got the summer after. He just finished 5th. Bergvall, Gray,
18 years old, by the way.
Beanie,
as well.
Solanke, and Odeberg. Is that backing?
Solanke was who he wanted. The others, no. First season, he got totally back.
But you just said he was back. So first season he was back. But he finished fifth.
Fans weren't saying this at the time. Fans were happy with these signings. Fans were happy with Archie Gray.
I was never happy with Archie Gray. I was never happy.
No. I'm not saying you, but the majority of fans were happy with Archie Gray.
No, but we needed more.
People still fight for Archie Gray now.
Yeah, but listen, remember in the second season as well, we were playing 2 times per week.
2 times a week.
In the first season, we wasn't. So he needed to be back more in the second season than he was in the first, and he wasn't. He got loads of kids and Solanke.
He said he was happy with
that was the problem, and we had to play in the Champions League, whatever it was. No, in the Europa League.
He came out
and he still won it.
He won it.
He still won it, and he said he was happy with Archie Gray and Bergvall.
Yep.
Yeah, but he was still employed with the club. It's like Frank. What's he going to say? No, I'm not happy. I hate my team. Like, he's not going to throw your players under the bus.
Or maybe you just don't say anything.
Exactly, because you know what? There was one video clip I saw.
You've got to back your team as the manager.
Okay, so if he goes about and now starts saying, yes, I wanted Archie Gray, I wanted Bergvall, or whatever, and now it's, he only said it because he had to say it. So now this report he went and gave, is that serious, or is that just him chatting it for the sake of it?
Maybe he did want them, but he wanted them to be rotated in with first teamers. Maybe he thought we was getting them in and getting first teamers in as well. And then he's realised he wasn't getting both.
He came out and said that.
Why do Spurs always want to look? Why do Spurs fans like? And look, I get what Scott's saying, and I know what happened after the 10 games, but you still have to include those 10 games no matter what. Dan said he was backed for those first 10 games. Those players performed,
and they got injured.
And then
the ones that he signed got injured.
Yeah, and then
Madison, Van der Ven both got injured.
Was that Andrew's fault that they got injured or not? Because now we look
no.
His style of football definitely did no favours, did it? Look at his style of football. Half the injuries we had were exactly the same that Celtic had because it was exactly down to the way he played.
What was the style?
True. Are we seeing a repercussion?
What the style? Running back from the halfway line about 10 times a game.
So you mean high line? Aston Villa play, Manchester City play, Arsenal.
They don't play. No. They do not play that you have your man. They do not play that you have your man sitting on the halfway line.
They don't do
back about 10 times. They don't do inverted
into 10 positions.
How many times do you see a centre back sprint back to basically the goal line? At Aston Villa, you don't see that often. At Spurs, you were seeing it game in, game out.
They got Van der Ven.
Yeah, but it was the same injuries that happened at Celtic. It was
But my argument to that is, what do wing backs do? They sprint up and down for the whole game. Does that mean they're going to get injured every week?
They don't do out and out sprints like that from the halfway line and back like they're doing 100-meter running every bloody time like we were. They were exactly the same injuries that Celtic had. If you check it up the season before, Celtic had exactly the same hamstring.
But we're getting injuries again this
season. I don't know if
different injuries.
Hold on.
Under Ange, half of his injuries were all hamstrings.
But we got injuries this season, probably more.
Are they all the same? Are they all the same injuries though? Are they all the same injuries? No, they're all different.
They're hamstring injuries. We've had knock.
We've had one or two, and we've had ACLs. We've had feet. We've had everything this season.
Dragutin was last season. Madison was
half the injuries was down to a hamstring.
There's a lot that wasn't hamstrings. There was a lot.
I said half of them last season was down to hamstring. Check them up. Half of them.
Yeah, well, half is half your squad. Half is literally half your squad.
Was down to hamstring injuries of the way we played football. If you're going to play football like that, you will get
injuries.
You will get that. And it was exactly the same as
it's crazy.
Look, I'm sure they couldn't predict Vicario breaking his ankle.
No, obviously with that, but that's not the injuries I'm talking about.
But we've obviously had injuries under Frank as well.
Nothing happens.
Bergvall was an impact injury. Solanke was an impact injury. Kulusevski was an impact injury.
I'm not saying all. I didn't say all injuries. I didn't say all injuries. I didn't say all injuries, but when you check up, half of his injuries were basically hamstrings, the style of football. When you look at Celtic, it was exactly the same issue they had. More than half their players they had injured was all down to hamstrings, down to a style of football. When you play a certain way, you're going to get certain injuries more than others. When it involves a hell of a lot of sprinting,
Can I just say the good news out of this is that we're not going to be playing twice a week next week, so the squad will be able to recover. The squad will be able to recover, and then we're going to know whether it was down to tactics or whether it's down to too many games.
Can anyone ask
we are
me,
in the Premier League?
How come how come Frank never had all these injuries at Brentford, but he's come to Tottenham and we've got a bag of injuries? Do you think it's because, and ACLs don't only exist in Spurs, ACLs happen to cross the league. Is it because of the amount of sprints that we're doing in terms of the running? Because the running and the sprints have increased throughout the league compared to previous seasons. So is it that the players are running more and that's what's creating the ACLs, the knee injuries that you've seen from Kulusevski down to Dragushin? Maddison obviously did his ACL. Is that a cause of like the actual league, or is it a reoccurrence from the season before under Ange, and maybe that's why we're seeing more injuries now? Because I can't understand how Frank never had these injuries and then all of a sudden he's having a load of injuries. Or is it because it's a twice a week thing and Frank couldn't twice a week load?
If you look at any club, if they're playing twice a week, they're getting more injuries than any other team that's not. Yep.
That's just the way it is.
Obvious. Like, you're playing a lot more games. And this is going to be our 5th international break as well. I think in March, our 5th international break, and they're playing 2 games in that as well. They're not getting a break. Even when it comes to the summer, it's going to be World Cup. Bang, more games, intensity, bang, straight into the season again. And if you're playing in Europe, you're playing twice a week, near enough straight away. There's an extra 2 games in the Champions League and Europa League now. So they're playing more games as well. They have to play high intensity because the Premier League, every team now plays with high intensity. Every team. You go down to the bottom, Wolves, they play with high intensity now. They did it against Arsenal and nearly got a point off them. So the injuries are going to happen, but we're getting it the worst at the moment, and I can't pinpoint why.
Would you think we've had some bad luck? I do think we've had some bad luck this year. I do think there's been a bit of bad luck.
Ash, I think you need to. I think you should look up the ACL injuries, or like specifically how many, because I've just looked it up, and actually the team with the most ACL injuries last year was Wolves, and we only had one, which was Dragushin. And that was in the 24-25 season. The rest weren't actually ACL. Like, there were other types of, but there were other muscular injuries, but not ACL.
Kulusevski had a patella injury, which is not ACL, but again, it's
but look, these things happen. These things happen. Like, it's just I think these things are once you get to a certain point where so many dominoes have fallen, it becomes a systemic issue. And unless you replace the players whether you need them or you have some kind of progression with the youngsters, like, you're basically just playing players flat out who don't have the energy levels to maintain that level twice a week. And
once you get a few injuries as well.
So is that down on the manager?
Rotate as much either. So
is the manager not rotating enough? Sorry, go on. All right, so I'm going to ask this last question. Would you put? I mean, Ange fans, would you have Ange back? Would you take Ange back? Would you?
No.
Ange?
No. Here's the thing.
I'm a fan, but no.
We
sold Johnson and Son. He's not coming back.
The thing about Ange is that everything he said,
I'm gonna say yeah.
Everyone knew already. There was nothing he said that Spurs fans didn't know already. It was like, and what? We know that already. He finished 5th, yes. But I think what he also said about Spurs, he said Spurs' wage structure, that they have to break the wage structure. And that's why they're not a big club, because they won't spend the big wages. But what we all have to understand as football fans is that players are no longer signing for the shirt. They're signing for the money. And you might think to yourself, that's always been the case. But say a player will go to United. It's for the shirt, it's for the history, Arsenal, whatever. But now, especially when it comes to Spurs, players are going, how much are you going to pay me to wear your shirt? Because I don't give a shit about wearing your shirt.
We offered Semenyo more money than Man United. I mean,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, but he went to Man City because, again, he's a rarity. But he was never coming to Spurs.
We offered Guehi more money as well. We offered Guehi more money.
He was never. Yes, but what I'm saying is, like,
in Bruno before he went to Man United, we offered.
But he always wanted to go to Man United. Apparently, the only reason he wanted to. The link was because Spurs got Frank. If Spurs never got Frank,
no. This is on the Ange. Ange brought up in Bruno.
Yes, I know who Ange brings up. But what I'm trying to say is that Yes, but what I'm trying to say that, yes, it's easy to bring up players. I mean, how often did we hear Arsene Wenger say he could have signed Ronaldo, Messi, all the best players?
I'll tell you a story.
Like Graham Potter said it. Graham Potter said it. Like, I know he's not the favorite, but he said it perfectly when he was asked about transfers. He said, transfers are easy. You can all sign players. We can go to the championship. We can go all across the leagues. But you see, signing players that is right for the club, that's not so easy. So it's easy for fans to say, we need this player, we need that player, we need that player. But the same players who are brought in or flopped was a player Spurs spent money on. So basically, like, again, when it comes to injuries, because under Ange, I asked a personal trainer, like I said, why are these players getting injuries so much? And he said, it is because of Ange. He's not taking a break. It's constant. And he said, it's also the players, because the players in training afterwards, they're not doing proper stretches and proper warm-ups. Again, classic example. Mickey van der Ven, touching wood, he's looked after his body. Remember when Harry Kane used to always get an ankle injury and hamstring? Then he went 2 seasons without. He got in a personal trainer and a nutritionist. These players have to take responsibility. Like Xavi, I don't know if you follow him on Instagram. He's constantly showing training in the gym, building his legs up, building his things up. So I think that we're moving into an age where players are going, they're not looking after themselves. Yes, the games are getting more, absolutely. But these players have to start looking after their bodies and have to look after themselves outside. And that's not what they're doing.
There was a point. Sorry to go a side note, but there was a point when under Ange, we were linked to Eze. Yeah, we were linked to Eze before the whole Frank situation. And we were also linked to Neto. I don't know if you lot remember it. We were actually linked to Neto and Eze, right? And I remember the deal was Daniel Levy wanted a par exchange, Oliver Skip, and some money. And Wolves have said, no, we don't want Oliver Skip. We just want the money, right? And he was being stubborn. And Chelsea would just say, all right, you know what? We'll pay the whole money. Whatever he's asking, we'll just pay that money. And before you know it, Neto was a Chelsea player. I think personally, if we weren't being so stubborn on that deal, we could have, because he was offered to us, we could have bought him.
Absolutely.
And it's the same with Eze as well.
Look at both of those players.
This is before the Frank situation.
Yes,
this is under
both of those players. Has Neto been amazing for Chelsea? Has Eze been amazing for Arsenal?
I don't understand all the critics of Neto. I think Neto's been decent. Do you know what I'm saying? I think Neto's been all right.
So basically, Spurs spend money on a player to be decent. Isn't the reason why a lot of Spurs players get thrown under is because they're decent?
Well, Neto, all right, this season, Neto has got, let me check his stats this season. He's got 3 assists and 5 goals, which is more than any of our current scorers, maybe other than Richarlison. And that's a winger.
Yeah.
So Neto could have done well. That's the season.
Marlon picked up on it, and I think is one of the few things me and Marlon agreed on.
Neto's better than Odegaard.
No, I get what you're saying, but what we're saying is Marlon agreed that when a top player we've seen it. When top players come to Spurs, they seem to decline. They stop playing. They don't want to try. It's easy for them. You know, Ndombele. I saw a clip of Ndombele playing or training. He's running rings around people. One of Spurs' most expensive signings.
Yeah.
Comes to Spurs, can't be bothered. The Celso can't be bothered. So the question is, like Marlon and I picked up to, when top players come to Spurs, they know they're the top already. They know they can go 10 games playing shit and nothing will happen to them. And that was the one problem with Poch. He kept on playing that team no matter what. He'd never allowed anybody to come in.
We don't sign top players then?
No. I'm saying what I'm saying is it's signing a player who will come to the club and wants to improve themselves for who they are. Not I am already good, so I'm bigger than the club. Xavi, for example, another good example. He can come and says, I'm better than this. I don't need to, but he's actually improving his individual body and his physicalness because he wants to be better for himself. When was the last time you heard a Spurs player say, I want to be the best football player in the world or the best football player in the Premiership?
If you had one that's got the capability of doing it.
But that's what I'm saying.
Has actually come out and said that before. He wants to be at the very
Harry Kane, when you look at Harry Kane for the first 2 seasons, he got better because he took that extra time to get better. The best players in the world take extra training. They take extra motivation. They want to be the best for themselves. Yeah. And yes, I'm not saying managers doesn't help them, but Ronaldo, classic example. He would do the work. He would go on at 6 o'clock in the morning. Hard work. What I'm saying is Spurs buy players who don't work hard, who are happy enough to go to the training park, do what they can, then go and get their Instagram haircuts and stuff. That's
I agree.
That's what let Frank down. Because at Brentford, Frank had players who were footballers. We're here to play football, work hard. We're not going to take flashy Instagram stories. Come to Spurs, they have a new hairstyle every day. And they're leaving at 4 o'clock, 4 p.m.
Like David Beckham. Look at David Beckham, yeah?
Yeah.
He was an all right player. He was nothing special. Even Ferguson said it twice in his autobiography. He was ready to get rid of him. He was a very bang average player out of the young ones. What made David Beckham what he was? The fact that he used to do his training day in, day out. And then even when he went home, done his training in the bloody back garden with a, what was it? With a lorry tire, basically, getting better and better and better. Look at Harry Kane. Was he a good player? Was he born with that?
No.
Some players you can train all your life and you will just never ever be as good as that player because they've just got what they've got. Other players have to train to get as good as they are. Harry Kane was not good. He made himself what he is. He made himself. He done the hardcore training night in, night out, day in, day out to get where he is. Same as Beckham, same as others. You look at others who've kept themselves fit. Ronaldo, you could tell he was one that had it naturally, but he also kept himself very fit over the years as well. Some players have to do that training to get where they are, to be a proper, professional, basically. Other players, especially these days, again,
it does
seem, I agree.
As simple as that.
I can't argue with that. I'm agreeing with you. Just giving an example with it as well. I agree with you, mate. You're right.
And on that note, I'm going to let these lovely people go.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah.
I should keep asking more questions.
Yes. Stirring the pot. But it was good. It was good. We hope everyone listening will be ready for Arsenal. It'll be fun. And then next Monday we'll all be here.
Next
Monday. Blaming Frank for everything.
Alan, let everyone know where they can find you.
So you can find me on YouTube, Tottenham Logic TV. I do YouTubers reacts videos after games, so that could be fun after the Arsenal match. Also looking to go live soon. I don't really do a lot of lives, so I ain't got the time to do it, to be honest. But yeah, you can find me on there. I collaborate with a lot of other YouTubers now, so yeah, just come and say hello. I'm normally quite active in the comments as well. So
Sarah, let the lovely people know where they can find you.
So I'm Spurs.
Rewind.
It's late. We are Spurs from the Stands on YouTube. I'm not quite sure off the top of my head what my Instagram and Twitter is. I think it's like Spurs FT Stands, but I've only been going for a month, so this is all kind of new to me and not really that active on X. So I guess mostly I'm on YouTube, either lives or content. Thanks for having me on, guys. No, and a fun show.
Yeah, and Alan, thank you for having. Dan, where can people find you? You're not as good as Benji.
No, I'm just not as universal as Benji is the way to put it. Hotspur Hood, me and Benj do shows on there, probably doing one tomorrow in the next 2 days or so. And just erratically do the shows as they come.
I'll send you the link, so your thing will be in our description as well, about probably at some point tomorrow, so you can find all their links in the description. Oren's obviously going to be back next week. Ash, what you got going on this week?
Yeah, man, Wednesday we do the rival show. As always, we'll be going at it more in depth on Arsenal, of course. Arsenal, they've got a lot to say, and there will be other rivals talking smack. Probably Newcastle talking wicked again. But yeah, we move, man. Listen, make sure you are liking, sharing, and doing all that good stuff to all these lovely people above us, man. Big up to the chat as well today, man. The chat Marlon, read out them those super chats.
Yeah, I know, because I forgot one last week. I felt so bad. so bad. But thanks to Stephen Reynolds for his super chat, Olu, Danny K, and I don't know. Do we have to thank Danny K? Rich S Man and Big Benji, of course, for your super chats earlier, which I read out. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and make sure you catch me and Ash if you can't get to the game on the watch along on Sunday for We Are Tottenham TV. That's where we'll be. But as always, thank you to all the people